This one makes you want to throw up in a potted plant. This one's centered around autistic children. Once again, in this third program, a group of providers, supposedly medical providers, got together and they went to the welfare authorities in Minnesota and said, we need money to help autistic children. You say, well, that's a wonderful thing to do. And then these providers, once the welfare department at the state government in Minnesota gave them the okay, they went out and started recruiting autistic children. You say, well, okay, we have to get the word out somehow. But they couldn't find very many autistic children. So they started going to parents in the Somali community and saying, can we call your child autistic? Can we certify that your child is autistic? If you'll let us do that, we'll pay you a bribe. Anywhere from $400 to $1,500 a child. Now, once again, the program, it didn't start big. These were sophisticated crooks. And its leader was a woman by the name of Asha Farban Hassan. She was also in, by the way, on the feeding of the children scam as well. And as best we can tell, they approached parents only in the Somali community. But once again, they couldn't find enough autistic children, so they bribed the many parents in the community, gave them money to certify that their children were autistic. In the first year, they were clever. They only asked for $3 million. The second year, in 2019, they asked for $54 million. Then in 2020, they went up to $77 million. And then in 2021, they really got greedy. They went to $183 million. And in 22, $280 million. And in 2023, $400 million. All total, in these three fraud schemes, these crooks stole $1 billion of taxpayer money. Here's I started to say worst part, but let me amend it. Equally bad part. You say, well, hello, how could this happen? Why didn't the people in the Department of Social Services and the Welfare Department in state government, when they saw these claims arising, why didn't they say something? Didn't they go out and check these businesses that were supposedly sites to feed homeless children? Didn't they go talk to some of the children and their parents to see if some of the children really were autistic? Didn't the state authorities go out and say, can you show us one of the homes that you're providing to the homeless people? After all, we're spending $1 billion. They didn't. Because the politicians wouldn't let them.
And we are live. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, about to recap the week with Trump's most important engagements for this week, and then we're going to get into a media analysis. So it's going to be a quick one, probably about 2 hours at most, guys. Appreciate the support, by the way, but let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, and let's get right into it.
People were shattered because of that crazy deal. But it's a really good point. Go ahead.
And Mr. President, I'll tell you, the Senate Commerce Committee on January 14th, we're going to have a hearing with all of the big three there and Tesla. And the entire hearing is going to focus on how your leadership has reduced the burdens on car makers. That's lowering costs. That's giving consumers more choices, and it's producing more jobs in America. And it's highlighting that's a real record of success.
Yeah, because Trump removed the CAF standard, which is the corporate average fuel economy. So pretty much is saying that your fleet average for your cars had to be, well, under Biden, they were saying you had to achieve a 50 mile per gallon mandate by 2031. Trump brought that down to 34.5 miles per gallon instead of 50, which gives these auto manufacturers a lot of leeway.
Well, it's an honor. And, they were going by California. We had like 2 different countries, California and 15 that followed California, because you had 15 states follow California. And the rules from California were just like everything else. That's why people are leaving. That's why it's such a mess. There's a state with such unbelievable potential. But what they did with the car industry is incredible. And that was, the car companies didn't know what to do because they had 2 standards and you can't build 2 different cars for the same country. And what we're doing today is very big. Would anybody like to say something? Would you like to say something, my friend?
I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you.
Most of these guys are auto manufacturing CEOs that are standing behind this man. They're pretty much saying thank you because you low-key saved us. Because the way the CAF standard was working, it was low-key going to push them towards EV cars, which they'd have lost out on to China because China pretty much dominates that market. Well, China and Elon.
Brian, and we love you, Brian.
Oh, I love you too,
Okay.
I've always said
he's a good man.
Well, I appreciate that. I've always said you've tackled the three M's: mortgage, munchkins, and marriage. You've solidified all of those. I'll add motor vehicles to that now. My question, I got one about consumer confidence. We just came off one of the record high Black Friday, up 9.1%.
Record high, highest ever, biggest amount ever purchased in one day. Yeah.
Which I think counters this narrative of affordability, because apparently the Americans are spending money. So I want to see, how do you view that for a consumer confidence being so high going into Christmas and going into next year? And I do have one for the auto group after you.
Yeah, I just think that we have tremendous confidence in.
I mean, shoot, don't get it wrong. There is still an affordability problem, but sales were up for this holiday. I mean, we've seen record sales for shopping when it came to November. We've seen record sales when it came to Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So they're trying to say that, oh, well, everybody's going to suffer. These prices are too unaffordable. You're going to start seeing less presents under the tree. Well, that turned out to be wrong because 2 million more people have been purchasing. 2 more million people have made purchases throughout for the holidays than last year. So what does that mean? Hey, that means people are actually shelling out more money. Does that mean the affordability crisis is gone and we're just going to pretend like it don't exist? Of course not. But it does mean that the doomsday scenario that these Dems were painting since the beginning in April, since Trump invoked these tariffs, have not yet came to light. Have not yet happened.
The country. One of the things in terms of confidence, if you go back a year and a half, it's amazing. We're like into 10 months already, but you go back a little bit before the election, because after November 5th, it started changing rapidly, even though we were running it until January 20th. But when you look back and you look at the enlistment of soldiers, people that wanted to join the military, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, it's like booming. It's all Space Force. But we had the worst recruitment in the history of our country. A year later, we have the greatest recruitment in the history. You can't even get in. Getting in is like getting into a top college that you couldn't get in. People want to be in the service now, and that includes the police, environment, and other things. You couldn't hire police. You couldn't hire anybody in the Army or the Navy. You couldn't get people in. And we now have gone from that to record recruitment. We're getting high quality people, amazing people wanting to be in the military. They have spirit now, call it what you want, but that's part of it. But they have great spirit now. It's a great thing. Go ahead, ask your second question.
Okay, my second question, I've got a lot of close family friends in the automotive business, own dealerships all across Southern California. They sent me a question to ask you. There's a thing called a mileage blocker that is installed on vehicles. It's a type of a computer chip which alters the actual mileage driven on the vehicle, so that when you have a leased vehicle that's turned in, They're losing thousands of dollars. They've got to go chase down these manufacturers. What can we do to track down these manufacturers of this illegal computer chip that's really hurting automotive
Have
industry?
you heard about this?
Yes, sir. They're getting built in China, and most of them are coming out of Great Britain, sir. They're being distributed through China, through distributors selling them online
So it's
through
China.
Great Britain. Yes, sir.
Wow, that's not so good. What do you
No,
think?
look at that.
Bernie, do you know anything about that?
It works on older vehicles and.
I mean, that ain't the first time China done try to put I would say, what was it? Let's see, invasive technology into our well, on be real, into our products, with the chips inside the cars, the switchers inside of our solar panels. I mean, this is what China does. They act with complete duplicity every single time. It's kind of crazy how we trust these guys to operate fairly in the trade world. Like, honestly, that's why anywhere needs a regime change, it's China.
Obviously, well, we got to do a better job.
Yeah,
of
I
being
think
at the
it's
border.
something, I've never heard of it. Very good. We never heard of it. That's pretty good.
Mr. President, you released video of that first boat strike on September 2nd, but not the second video. Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what
I
happened?
don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release, no problem. You know, we stopped every boat we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives.
So,
That's right.
And
thank you.
if you look at our,
Now, the controversy of the double tap strike has been going on for at least about a week now. And what's been came in now is that the admiral did consult military lawyers before that strike was ordered. And then two, well, we don't know if there was actually two survivors. Well, actually, wait, no. According to Hegseth, he didn't know if there was actually two survivors, but it was confirmed by the admiral that there was two survivors, that they didn't call for backup when the boat capsized, but they were trying to pretty much push the boat back over and get the drugs and all that good stuff. And I guess that was one of the reasons why they were eliminated, even though they were non-lethal combatants.
you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9%. I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that.
So when
On
is the full-
Ukraine, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were there last night with Vladimir Putin. Can you give us an update about those talks? It sounds somewhat.
Well, I can give you a quick update right now. Russia has struck Ukraine again. There was another airstrike carried out on Ukraine overnight. We'll get into that later on, but it does seem like, well, what I've been showing y'all has been true, that Russia is now starting to take even more land.
Kremlin is saying that they're not going to compromise. Can you tell us what you've?
I don't know what the Kremlin's doing. I can tell you that they had a reasonably good meeting with President Putin. We're going to find out. It's a war that should have never been started. It's a war. If I were president, we had a rigged election. If I were president, that war would have never happened. It's a terrible thing. But I thought they had a very good meeting yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. It's, you know, when I was in this office and I talked about no cards, I said, you have no cards. That was the time to settle. I thought that would have been a much better time to settle. But they, in their wisdom, decided not to do that. They have a lot of things against them right now. But you have President Putin had a very good meeting yesterday with Jared Kushner and with Steve Witkoff. What comes out of that meeting, I can't tell you, because it does take two to tango. You know, Ukraine, I think we have something pretty well worked out with them. They're very satisfied considering. But the sad part is if I were president, no war.
Now, the reality behind that is that the 28-point peace deal was actually dead on arrival in Ukraine. I mean, with inspiration from Europe. And then, of course, it was also dead on arrival in Russia as well, because there were some concessions that Russia was not willing to make. Even though the deal was heavily favored towards them, Russia now has the attitude of like, you know, we can just take more. We really don't got to abide by this. It's either you get Ukraine to withdraw, we keep the regions that we were fighting in, or we keep the fight going. That is where Putin's kind of, you know, standing with this. Now, Ukraine and Europe is acting a bit delusional right now, as if they're going to fight Russia, which they're not, as if they got enough money to keep putting into this war to fight Russia, which they don't, and as if Ukraine can actually win this war, which they won't. So they're acting a bit delusional right now. We're going to need them to, well, come back to reality eventually.
What would have ever happened? They would have had 100% of their territory. Nothing would have happened. It's a very sad situation. So think of this. Last month, 27,000 soldiers. 27. That's like You take a stadium,
Yeah.
a football stadium, not an arena, and you cut it in half. 27,000 people died, mostly young soldiers, died last month, in 1 month. And that's the only reason I'm involved. You know, we're not spending any money in the war. We're selling to NATO. We're not being ripped off like we were under Biden. Biden was handing everybody everything we had, giving them all the missiles, everything they wanted, free, no charge. Or just he had no idea what he was doing. They're paying top dollar, full price for everything. Goes to NATO, and then NATO distributes it. NATO pays us. So we're not. It's not money. We would all. I think I can speak for everyone behind here. The politicians I know, and the auto manufacturers are good people. They don't want to see 27,000 people die for no reason whatsoever. And that's the only reason I'm trying to help. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, switching to Venezuela for a second, have you checked back with President Maduro? I mean, is your pressure campaign working? And do you think, how's your response?
You tell me, is it working? It's not pressure campaign. It's much beyond that, I think. But I spoke to him briefly, just told him a couple of things.
I'll be real with you. It is a pressure campaign. We're trying to get Maduro to get up out of office and to, I don't know, go somewhere else. Like, but you can't be in Venezuela, and Lord knows you can't be in power in Venezuela. And if you're wondering why we're so impatient with Maduro, well, I'll go ahead and give you the history of it again. During the Biden administration, Maduro wanted back a family member and I guess one of his homies that was caught up in drug trafficking. We released them back with the promise that Maduro was going to run an election, which he did, a fair election. So he ran an election, just not a fair one, and he ended up just taking it. And now this is where we're at our wits' end with them. And he did this under the Biden administration. So now Trump administration not really playing no games with him. It's either you get out or be, well, bombed. And I'm not saying that Trump is going to bomb them, but that's what it's looking like since, you know, he kind of just closed out the airspace over Venezuela. There's a naval blockade over there. I mean, what else? What else could he possibly do to tell that man, I want you gone?
We'll see what happens with that. Venezuela sends us drugs, but Venezuela sends us people that they shouldn't be sending. They emptied their prisons into our country. They sent us killers, murderers. They sent us drug dealers at the highest level. They sent us gang members. They sent us people from their mental institutions. They emptied their mental institutions into our country. And so did other countries, because we had stupid people running this country, really stupid people. And I think probably you had some stupid ones and you had some smart ones, but there were bad people too. Because not all of them were stupid. You can't cheat on elections like they did and be stupid. Okay.
I mean, two of the stupidest things Biden did was, one, keep on increasing spending, which was inflationary, which he said it wasn't going to be. And then two was honestly supporting Ukraine. I mean, I know people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but yeah, because he supported Ukraine and kept this war going, I mean, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians' lives are lost. They won't be getting back any of the land. Actually, they're losing more land. And I'm just real with you, they're in a way worse position than before the war. So who do we help doing this? Honestly, if anything, we kind of helped Russia.
Did you talk to him a second time or just that one time?
What's that?
To Maduro, did you speak to him again?
No, I didn't.
Mr. President, if you do
When
find.
you spoke with Mr. Witkoff and with Mr. Kushner
Last night.
did they give you the sense that President Putin still wants to end the war, wants to make peace?
He would like to end the war. That was their impression. Now, whether or not,
you believe
that was their impression.
Well, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in the conversation by double tapping that screen. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
You know, their impression was that he would like to see the war ended. I think he'd like to get back to dealing a more normal life. I think he'd like to be trading with the United States of America, frankly, instead of, losing thousands of soldiers a week. But their impression was very strongly that he'd like to make a deal. We'll see what happens.
Mr. President, in the boat strikes, if it is found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto that boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished?
I think you're going to find that this is war, that these people were killing our people by the millions, actually, if you look over a few years. I think last year we lost close to 300,000 people were killed. That's not mentioning all the families. Have you seen what happens with the families of not only the people killed, the people that are trying to get their son or their daughter off of.
Now, what the Dems are trying to say is that once the boat was blown up and those 2 sailors survived, or the shipwrecked sailors survived, instead of narco terrorists or narco terrorist collaborators, they are now shipwrecked sailors. Okay, guys. So, watch your language, guys. But yes, these shipwrecked sailors, as soon as, get what I'm telling you right now. They were narco terrorists while driving the boat. As soon as the boat blows up, they go from narco terrorists to just shipwrecked sailors, and now they are non-lethal combatants, and it is now illegal for them to be killed. Now, could we have said the same thing about bombing the Houthis in Yemen? Yeah, we could have, but everybody shut the hell up during that with no congressional approval. So I'm really wondering what's the difference here, since the cartel is now designated as a terrorist organization, aka we're not handling them like they're a criminal organization anymore.
This poison that they've been fed, I think you're going to find that there's a very receptive ear to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out those boats. And very soon we're going to start doing it on land too, because we know every route.
And for those guys who are saying it's fisherman boat, I mean, I would hope that fisherman boats are a little bit bigger than that, seeing that they got to carry big hulls, have big nets, cranes, all that heavy equipment. I hope you would know what a fisher boat actually looks like before you make such a dumb statement. Because that is actually a pretty dumb statement. Like, these are speedboats being blown up. You're talking about fisherman boats? Like, have you ever seen one, bro?
We know every house. We know where they manufacture this crap. We know where they put it all together. And I think you're going to see it very soon on land also. Yeah, please.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the
No, I
initial strike?
support the decision to knock out the boats. And whoever's piloting those boats, most of them are gone. But whoever are piloting those boats, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country. Yeah, please.
The House Judiciary Committee has subpoenaed Jack Smith to ask about his investigation of you. I wondered, for a deposition, I wondered if you'd prefer to see that as a hearing so that the American public can see the questions and the responses more easily.
I'd rather see it probably at a hearing. Look, Jack Smith is a thug. He's a failed prosecutor. He's a bad man. He's an evil man. He hurt a lot of people. Forget about me. I do this stuff, but I got indicted many times by a guy that they were dismissed. He's a bad guy. He's a sick man. There's something wrong with him, actually. I think Jack Smith is a sick man. There's something really wrong with him. I'd rather see him testify publicly because there's no way he can answer the questions. But Biden knew this was going along. Kamala knew it was going along. And there's a lot of things happening right now that they don't like. One of the things is the auto pen. Everything he signed, almost, with the exception of the pardon of his wonderful son, Hunter, just about everything he signed was not signed by him. He had no knowledge of it. He didn't know what it was. People sitting around the beautiful Resolute desk knew exactly what it was. And those people are guilty, in my opinion, of a major crime. Everything that was signed by that auto pen, the man operating the auto pen, and I'm sure there are more than one because I think some of the people can operate it themselves. Some of the high-level people operated themselves. They would just go in and sign his name with an auto pen onto very important documents, not only pardons, but policy, maybe CAFE standards, okay, as an example. Who signed CAFE? If you ask Biden, what's a CAFE standard? He would have absolutely no idea. He'd say, where is the cafe located? The guy didn't know anything. Look, that just shows you what a rigged election can be. But you understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
You've had conversations.
But all right, now just to give you a quick little, I'm going to show you this quick little clip just to show you both sides of the CAFE standard argument.
Trump just saved the American car industry while simultaneously making new cars more affordable. Whoa, chill with those big promises. That is yet to be seen, but he certainly just made our air a whole lot dirtier. Now, let's talk about what he did. So as you know, a 1975 law in response to the 73-74 oil crisis gave the Department of Transportation the ability to create what are called CAFE standards, so corporate average fuel economy standards. Yeah, pretty much the DOT sets 2 different mile per gallon limits, one for cars and another for trucks, and the average new car or truck that a car company sells each year must be below that limit, which which if it is, they get credits, but if it's not, they get fined. Yeah, and Biden decided to jack up these mile per gallon limits at the fastest rate ever to a fleet-wide average of 50.4 miles per gallon by 2031. And the Trump administration said yesterday, nah, we're moving that back down to 34.5 by 2031. Look, the world is moving towards greener forms of energy, and that 50.4 standard included all vehicles sold by car companies, including electric. So it was meant to push our companies to increase their electric fleet, which would bring up their average and position America to dominate this new EV industry, which is currently being taken over by China. You're saying the quiet part out loud. The 1975 law was created to make combustion engines more efficient. It was never about EVs. Well, EVs didn't exist back then. But still, you're transforming this old law to push this new radical green agenda. And Biden's 50.4 goal was costing our car companies billions, an estimated $109 billion to be exact, to redesign engines, invest in EVs, use lighter materials, etc. But now they will save that $109 billion, which is approximately $1,000 per car, and we should start seeing car prices coming down. You are foolish to believe they will pass those cost savings to consumers. There's a lot of competition in the car industry, so if one company doesn't, another will find an advantage in doing so. Okay, but also EV drivers save up to $2,200 a year on fuel costs plus lower maintenance costs. Well, the average cost for a new EV is about $7,000 more today than a gas car. But yeah, in due time, your savings will add up to more than that. And I just think the Biden administration's bold standards was pushing car companies to innovate and hopefully bring down the cost of EVs, which would lead to a cleaner and cheaper driving experience for us all. Well, it was costing our great American companies like Ford and GM billions of dollars and causing them to fire employees and raise prices to all-time highs. I mean, markets work best when it's demand that drives them, not government regulation. EVs are coming regardless. Yeah, except markets tend to not care about a thing called pollution. Well, that's why the Trump administration didn't remove all standards, just most of them, right? No?
Yeah, but that's where the argument stands right now, is that, you know, on our side, we're making a cost argument because, like I said, these guys won't be getting fined hundreds of thousands of dollars, which could be passed down to the consumer. And then on the left, they're going like, well, what about the environment? What about the environment? And once again, it does seem like going green is subsidized on the backs of the people for some strange reason.
With Jensen.
Right. So
Smart man.
in your conversations with him, have you kind of given a sense of where you are with export controls and the types of chips that NVIDIA can give to China?
He knows very well. He's done an amazing job. NVIDIA, very good. Yeah.
Mr. President, when do you expect for phase 2 of the Gaza peace plan to be implemented?
Well, it's going along well. You know, they had a problem today, I understand, with a bomb that went off. Hurt some people pretty badly, probably killed some people. They're telling me it just happened. But it's going on very. We have peace in the Middle East. People don't realize it. We have tremendous support. 59 countries. There's tremendous support. But phase 2 is moving along. Yeah, it's going to happen pretty soon.
Mr. President, did you speak with House Republican leadership about your decision to pardon Congressman Henry Cuellar? And are you concerned that you made a vulnerable Democrat perhaps less vulnerable with that decision?
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's not forget to also hit that icon above there to subscribe to the channel, guys. We do this every day. Appreciate the support, guys.
It didn't matter. He's a respected person. He was treated very badly because he said that people should not be allowed to pour into our country. And he was right. He didn't like open borders. He was on the border. You know, he represents a very respected man. He represents the people on the border, and he saw what was happening. And as soon as he made that statement, I then said, I'll bet he gets indicted. And that's what happened. You know, I put out my truth from that. Well, I did a truth, wonderful truth. We love truth. But what happened is he got indicted for speaking the truth. And his wife got indicted, Imelda. And that's sort of a first. Usually they leave the wives alone, right? Don't they, Congressman? Typically they indict somebody, put him in jail for the rest of his life, but the wife can just sit home and cry, or she'll find a new man. You know? Right. A lot of times they find a new man that makes them much happier. In fact, a lot of times they like that man better than the one that's in jail. Go ahead.
Thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying.
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a
Which
fraud.
I have found no proof of. Like I said, I'll be the first guy to tell you if I was able to find proof of that. And there is no proof that Ilmar Omar married her brother. Like, sorry, guys. And I looked into this deeply. I looked into it extensively, and I did not find nothing.
But she tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, you know, it just happened. And she shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent.
Sure.
Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hell.
Yeah, honestly, Walls is under fire because of this whole feeding the children scam, which is scammed the American taxpayer at about $250 million. About 86 people were involved. 78%, not 78%, but 78 of them were of Somali descent. So this makes the Somali community look real sus right now. But yes, these guys are pretty much fake feeding children, getting taxpayer dollars, or pretty much reimbursed by taxpayer dollars to feed children, which they actually didn't really do. Well, they might have, but they didn't feed as much as they claimed they did. But they sure they got paid for it. And then they went and bought nice houses and cars and all that good stuff. I mean, no, nice, good for them.
And
they're going to jail.
Those Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with, go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country. Without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is.
Nah, that's facts though. Like, let's keep it real. The way Somalia is, and remember, I read through the entire U.S. and Somali intervention, from like how we were supporting certain groups in there, how we were basically supporting a three-way fight, and how even in today, this very day, we're still bombing places in Somalia, even till this day. And actually, it's ironic because Ilmar Omar wouldn't have been here if we weren't interfering in Somalia, because when she came over here is in the 90s, and that's when we were heavily involved with Somalia.
Considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even.
Here's the thing. You can't just throw the whole community under the bus, but I will sit here and say, look what the Democrats let the Somalians do. Let's not forget, it was the Dems that walked out to these people, asked them, oh yeah, can we put your kid as autistic? You can get a $400 and then we take the rest. Like, can we really sit there and blame them for that when, I mean, real with you, our own people, our own political officials are helping them do this, are letting them do it, or creating like loose standards for them to do so?
Believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. And this is not the people living in Minnesota. And she's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, because they don't represent the interests of our country. Anybody else?
Mr. President, you on Somali immigrants.
The automakers spent billions on meeting the Biden EV rules. Should they be able to recoup that somehow, given the change? And there's a question about the Biden.
No.
Nope.
I'm not letting them recoup. They're going to do just fine. You know how they recoup? From this point forward, they'll do very well.
It's like, no, you're not going to be able to sue the administration to go ahead and recoup the fines you had to pay. I'm sorry. No, you're just going to have to eat that.
Can you also
like the tariffs.
talk about the USMCA and what you're thinking about renegotiating that with the automakers?
Well, we're that's just an ongoing thing. It expires in about a year, and we'll either let it expire or we'll maybe work out another deal with Mexico and Canada. But look, Mexico and Canada have taken advantage of the United States, like just about every other country, in all fairness. If it's not them, I'm not blaming them. But every country, because we had stupid people running our country. We had a lot of stupid people running. That's why we have $38 trillion in debt. But the beautiful thing about the tariffs is we'll start paying off that debt. The money coming in, they're finding money in our country now that they never knew existed. The other day, $30 billion. Where did it come from? I said, why don't you check the tariff shelf? They said, sir, that tariff hasn't started yet. It doesn't start till January. I said, no, it started 2 months ago. They called back, sir, you're right. It was from tariffs. No, we have a whole different country. I hope the Supreme Court, I pray that the Supreme Court understands the importance of the sensible, really, I mean, this would be country threatening if something happened with regard to that. You know, the people that brought that case are bad people. They're very bad people. They hate our country. They represent foreign countries, including China, but they represent, and China's paying us a lot of money now in tariffs, but they represent people that really don't like our country much. And I know some of them, and they're scum. In my opinion, they're scum. They're absolute scum. And they're not suing for any good reason. They're just suing to see if they can stop it because they make money if this country does badly. You know? So, but we're taking in trillions of dollars. We're stopping wars. We have great national security because of tariffs. And then to think that we have to even go.
It is kind of funny though when the Dems speak against tariffs. I do look at them like, so when y'all start holding water for the corporate elites, because you know this helps them. Like there's no penalty now for them to outsource jobs. There's no penalty for them to operate in different countries. There's no penalty for them for they make all the profits over here, but they put all the jobs somewhere else. There's no penalty for them for that. And you guys are okay with that. Actually, you're okay with taking away the penalty for them for doing so. And I thought you were for the American people. This is why I look at Dems funny, because they don't realize that they're holding water for the corporate elites when they sit there and want to go against tariffs. And then I always ask them this. All right, if it's a tax on the consumer, every time you try to put a tax on the rich, then all right, increasing the corporate tax, they can pass that down to you. Increasing income tax on the rich, they could pass that down to you. Almost anything we can put on the rich, any type of tax or extra expense we put on them could be passed down to you, like theoretically. So what's the point of bitching about tariffs if it's all just going to go down to you? Like, think about that. All right, then.
Justify this. The reason a lot of these people, I can tell you this, maybe we would have had the political people. We wouldn't have these people without tariffs. The people that are up here from Stellantis and Ford and General Motors, great companies, including this gentleman, they wouldn't be here today if we didn't have tariffs. They'd be building their plants in Mexico and other places. They're leaving Mexico and they're leaving Canada. They're leaving because they ripped off our country. They took our businesses away from us. And now because of tariffs, they're all coming back. So it's a great thing. Thank you very much, everybody.
And all right, now let's go ahead and get into Trump's next controversial meeting. Because there's only two of them, about that one and his cabinet meeting. So let's get right into it. And let's go ahead and start off with our guy, Rubio.
Puts America at the forefront of every decision we make in our relations with the world. And that may sound weird to people, like, of course you always do. No, that hasn't always.
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys.
Been the case until about a year ago. And I think we've all witnessed in our own respective spaces how in every interaction the president has with the world, the goal he has in mind is very simple. Does what you want us to do, or is it is it going to make us stronger? Is it going to make us richer? Is it going to make us safer? If it is, he's for it. If it's not, he's against it. If something's going to make America weaker or poorer or less safe, the president's going to be against it. And every single thing he has done in our foreign policy has been driven by the American people in mind. And I can go down the list. Why has he focused on mass migration? It's very simple, because no country is safe if you can just walk in without us knowing who you are into your country. We've seen the destruction that that's wreaking, not just in our own country, but the impact that it's having in Europe and in many other parts of the world. You talk about trade deals and the trade situation has been involved in. People, all this reporting on it. It's very simple. The president views the last 40 years as an era of which American workers and American farmers have been ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
They've been ripped off. And what he's saying is we want to have trade with the world, but it has to be a trade in which American businesses and American workers and the products they make and what American farmers grow and produce has a fair shot to be sold around the world. On issue after issue, that's been the case. You talk about foreign aid reform.
I mean, yeah, Trump did open up global markets to especially American agriculture. He's opening up the global market to American cars. And then, of course, he's trying to also do so for steel as well. So to sit there and say that tariffs has had no benefit, I mean, let's be real. If tariffs were just this tax on the consumer, you guys claim it is, then why are all these companies coming over to build in America because of the tariffs? If it just goes straight to the consumer, why even care about it? Like, come on now, use that logic.
This is not our money. This is taxpayer money. When the president has said, we're going to do foreign aid, but we're going to do foreign aid for countries that are aligned with the United States and in a way that doesn't waste the taxpayers' money. Mr. President, you deserve tremendous credit for that. Many of us, the vice president, by the way, I want to acknowledge, has played an extraordinary role in our foreign policy. And he too has been a witness to all of this as it's been occurring. And he's been a big part of it as well. You talk about NATO. The president's not against NATO. He went to NATO and basically said, look, you guys, we're paying all the money. And he got them to do the 5% commitment, which everybody said was never going to happen. It was impossible.
True.
Everything this president.
I mean, they said he couldn't get NATO to increase spending, which he did. He got them to not only commit to the 2%, but to commit to also increasing their military spending by 5%. And then not only did he get them to increase their military spending, but where are they going to spend that money? With the United States. To, well, sadly help Ukraine, but they should be using it to bolster their own forces.
Does is driven by the American people. Whether you don't have to agree with the actual move, but understand the motivation. The motivation is always you, the American people, and what's good for you, for your family, for the country, and for our economy. But the president is also committed to peace in a way that all of us have seen. He achieved in Gaza, and he does it, by the way, not just because he hates war and he thinks wars are a waste of money and lives, but because he's the only leader in the world that can. No other leader in the world could have pulled off what happened in Gaza. And I can tell you, I can't get into the details. The vice president knows what I'm talking about. That deal doesn't happen without the president's direct interaction with the leaders that were involved in this decision making. And everyone said that deal couldn't hold. And then the president shepherded through the United Nations of all places to get a global coalition of countries to line up behind the peace deal, behind the border peace. And it's still, every day is a challenge, but it's been driven personally by the president. It's the reason why we're involved in this whole Ukraine-Russia conflict. That's not our war. It's not the president's war. This war started. It never would have happened if you've been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it, not because, listen, we got a million things to fight.
True, because Trump wouldn't have put all that money behind Ukraine just to watch them get slaughtered on the battlefield. And that's exactly what Biden and NATO and like with the help of Europe did. That's just the sad reality of it. And we got nothing for it. We got nothing for it but the loss of, well, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian lives, the loss of about 10 to 20% of Ukraine. I mean, did we really gain anything out of this? And for some reason, we're like, people are still urging Trump to keep pushing Putin, keep pressuring Putin to be more hard on Putin. I mean, he can only go so hard until you got to put boots on the ground. Like, let's be real, guys. Like, you guys are actually being unreasonable.
Focus on in the world as a country, but he's the only leader in the world that can help end it. And that's why that's why even as we speak to you now, Steve Witkoff is in Moscow trying to find a way to end this war, to save lives of 9,000 people, Mr. President, as you know, are dying every week. More people are dying a week in that war than have died in the entirety of the U.S.'s involvement in Afghanistan or Iraq. Just think about that, how bloody and destructive it is. The president's taken on this issue of Sudan personally, not send out deputies to do it. Again, far away from the United States, because he's the only leader in the world that can bring it about to an end, not to mention all the other peace deals, very dangerous ones like India and Pakistan, or Cambodia and Thailand. And so on all these things, Mr. President, I think you deserve tremendous credit for the transformational aspect of our foreign policy. For the first time in probably 4 decades, the American foreign policy is driven by what is good for America and Americans, whether it makes us safer and stronger and more prosperous. If it is, he's for it. If it doesn't, he's against it. And that sort of clarity is transformational. I close with this, and I know I'm last, so I wanted to be fast, but there was a lot to cover. I do want to say this is the most wonderful and magical time of the year. By that, of course, I'm referring to the college football playoffs. And I just want to say this as a point of personal privilege. And I'm a Florida Gator, but if the University of Miami gets screwed out of the college football playoffs after going 10-2 and beating Notre Dame, the whole thing should be scrapped, and you're going to have to take over it next year.
I'm crying.
Well, thank you all very much. It's terrific. I hope it wasn't too long, but it was very concise. And We've done a
Man,
lot.
trust me, I'm a little salty over football right now myself. Ohio State lost to Indiana by 3 fucking points, which is crazy, but it is what it is. We'll catch these guys later. We'll see y'all in the playoffs most likely. So, enjoy the win. Congratulations.
This group has done a lot. Amazing. Everybody at this table has done a fantastic. And Susie, thank you for doing a great job as our chief of staff. First female chief of staff in the history of our country, which is pretty amazing when you think of it, right? And she's the best. Thank you very much. Great job. So after that, do you want to ask any questions?
Mr. President, there's been a lot of speculation about who the next Fed chairman could possibly be. You said you had somebody in mind.
Yeah.
How many names were you given on the final list? And does that person currently work on the board of the Federal Reserve?
Well, I'd say that we probably looked at 10. Then Scott interviewed some people that I didn't know, but he knew. And a lot of people were involved in the process, actually. And Howard was involved. But I think we probably looked at 10, and we have it down to 1.
I want to ask you about Elon Musk, if I could. You talked about Elon Musk. You had him at dinner here in the White House. Is he now back in your circle of friends?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, I like Elon a lot. He was he really helped during the election with his endorsement. He felt strongly. Look, we had one problem. I didn't want to have everybody have to have an electric car, and he makes electric cars. And yeah, I think we get along well.
On affordability, when you talk about affordability, is going forward, are the American people, do you believe, getting impatient with the reforms that you're making?
Oh, God, let's not forget to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. And if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud. $2 and up. It's a great way to keep the stream going and to, keep it fun and interactive. All right, guys, let's keep it going.
They talked about
I think they're getting fake news from guys like you. Look, affordability is a hoax that was started by Democrats who caused the problem of pricing, and they didn't end it. They lost in a landslide.
So, and I don't know why Trump really can't communicate this too well, but yeah, the affordability crisis happened under the Democrats. It happened all through the Biden administration, but then they're trying to blame Trump for what? For the entire price increasing that's been happening under Biden for 4 years, they're trying to throw on the lap of Trump as if it's his fault. When we're forgetting that from 2022 all the way up to 2024, prices honestly, my bad, but honestly, from 2021 to 2024, all through Biden's administration, prices have went up 20% across the board. So we're talking about the consumer price index went up 20%, which also matches up with the increase of the money supply that year. So, go figure.
We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. You take a look at districts, it was 2,750 to 525, because that was an affordability problem. We brought it down. Look at energy. Look at the gasoline price. It's like the simplest, and it's the biggest, because if energy comes down, everything comes down. That's the way it works. We are going to be at 250. You said 199 in some places in the country, right? You said it. I didn't say it. And they won't check you. They'll check me. So, I like to use your number. 199 a gallon. Unthinkable. If you go back a year and a half ago, it's unthinkable. So now we're bringing the prices down, way down. Beef is coming down now. We've done certain magic and beef is coming down. But we inherited horrible prices. We inherited really the worst inflation in history. We inherited that. When I came in, that's what he had. And we fixed inflation. And we fixed almost everything, if you want to know the truth, including 8 wars. We got 1 to go, but including 8 wars. But when they always say, I watched today where they have a race going on right now in Tennessee, and this woman goes, affordability. They're the ones that caused the problem. The prices were way high. We're bringing the prices down.
Mm.
But they're like scam artists. They're I call them con men and women. They come out, they say affordability, like, I see prices. We're going to get prices down still further, but we brought them down from the prices they cost. The reason that they had the highest inflation in the history of our country is because they had the highest prices, but we brought them down, and now we have normal inflation. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for taking questions.
Thank you.
Sure. I wanted to clarify something that you had said on Sunday regarding the boat strikes near Venezuela. You had said that you didn't know if the second strike on that one boat had happened.
Now, just to play into the point on affordability, like I love to show this graph every single time. Like, please go ahead and take a look at this graph right here. Now, like I said, from Trump's first term and comparing to Biden's second term, we're talking about the cumulative price increase by category, or the consumer price index price increase by category. If we go ahead and look at this overall CPI increased to over 20%. Groceries, food at home increased over that 20%, and then housing increased over that 20%. So it is, I mean, well, if this is like 23, then this would be what, 24? And then, well, no, this would be 22, 23, 24, since it's about close to the 25 line. So we're talking about 20 plus increase across the board, except for healthcare. Except for healthcare, though. I mean, that's the only thing that, Biden actually did well when it came to price increasing on. But everything else, I mean, yeah, you think this price increase went anywhere? No, this price increase didn't leave because Biden left office. And that's what the Dems don't seem to understand. But all right, let's get back to it.
Something's going to make America.
Let's get right back to it. Whoop. That's the right one? Yes, it is.
Weaker or poorer or less safe, the president's going to be against it. And every single thing he has done in our foreign policy has been driven by the American people in mind. And I can go down the list. Why has he focused on mass migration? It's very.
There we go.
Wouldn't have wanted it. Now that your administration has acknowledged that it happened, do you support that second strike? And Mr. Secretary, I wanted to clarify something you had said in the interview back in September, I believe on Fox News. You said that you would watch that strike live on television. In real time, did you know that there were survivors after the initial strike?
Well, look, all I know is this: every boat that you see get blown up, we save 25,000 on average lives, 25,000 lives. They've been sending enough of this horrible fentanyl and other things like cocaine and other things, but fentanyl right now is the leader of the pack, to kill our entire nation. Because a little speck on the head of a pin can kill somebody. It's very dangerous stuff. I know so many people where their sons were drug addicts. They had one little sample and they died. They couldn't believe it. As far as the attack is concerned, I still haven't gotten a lot of information because I rely on Pete. But to me, it was an attack. It wasn't one strike, two strikes, three strikes. Somebody asked me a question about the second strike. I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat. But I would say this, they had a strike. I hear the gentleman that was in charge of that is extraordinary. He's an extraordinary person. I'll let Pete speak about him. But Pete was satisfied. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with two people. I guess Pete would have to speak to it. I can say this, I want those boats taken out. And if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea. And there's very little coming in by sea. I think we've knocked out over 90% of it. There's very little, and I understand that. There's very little. We're saving hundreds of thousands of lives with those pinpoint attacks. It's an amazing thing when you see a boat going along. And, a lot of the press would like to say they're not. You see the boat. They're not maybe drugs. You see these boats. First of all, who has 5 engines on the back of a boat going in weird directions and loaded up with lots of white containers? They're bags of things. No, they've done an amazing job, and Pete has done an amazing job. Pete, you can
literally see the packs of cocaine on the boat, and they'll sit there and tell you those are fishermen. I mean, like, bro, they went from fishermen to shipwrecked sailors. I mean, bro, anything but a narco terrorist, anything but what they actually are, either a narco terrorist or a narco terrorist collaborator, either or.
Probably better answer the question.
No, you're spot on, sir. I think you got to start with the baseline. which Marco laid out, everybody's laid out, you got 20 million people invading our country over 4 years. We don't know where they're coming from. That includes Tren de Aragua and cartels and violent criminals. They bring drugs, and you mentioned it, Mr. President, poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. So the president had the courage to designate these cartels as designated terrorist organizations. Now, a number of us here served in the military and spent 20 years fighting terrorists like Al-Qaeda and ISIS on the other side of the world. How do you treat Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Do you arrest them and treat them, pat them on the head and say, don't do that again? Or do you end the problem directly by taking a lethal kinetic approach? And that's the way President Trump has authorized the War Department to look at these cartels. And I wish everybody could be in the room watching our professionals like Mitch Bradley, Admiral Mitch Bradley, and others at JSOC and SOCOM and other commanders.
Yeah, Admiral Mitch Bradley is the one who ordered the strike. And like I said, he did say that he received or he consulted a military lawyer before ordering the strike. And the more information that he releases was that the 2 people that were survived were not calling for backup, before they took him out the game.
Deliberative process, the detail, the rigorous, the intel, the legal, the evidence-based way that we're able to, with sources and methods that we can't reveal here, that make sure that every one of those drug boats is tied to a designated terrorist organization. We know who's on it, what they're doing, what they're carrying. All these white bales are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on 4-motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine. And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer because narco terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that.
And this is what the difference is. Like back when they were a criminal organization, I'm talking about the cartel, when they were just a criminal organization. Yeah, we'd catch them, lock them up, and that'd be that. We'd take them through the court system, give them their so-called due process. And that's no longer the case no more. We don't treat terrorists the same way we do criminals. So guess what? These guys are now a terrorist organization. I mean, shoot, they got money like a terrorist organization. They move like a terrorist organization. They control politics in certain countries like a terrorist organization. So why not call them a terrorist organization? Especially when they got more money than most of these terrorist organizations. So it is kind of funny how people are sitting here trying to hold water for the cartel. It's absolutely hilarious.
Threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
And Mr. Secretary, on the second strike, you said it happened more than an hour after the first strike.
I couldn't tell you the exact amount.
Yo, and shout out to my man Jeff for starting us off. Appreciate the support, my brother. He says a tomahawk in the stocking stuffer is due process. I mean, God damn. I guess for terrorists it is. So yes, a tomahawk in the stocking stuffer is due process for a terrorist. I mean, bro, it's just like that's what we did to the Houthis in Yemen. I mean, that's what we do to most terrorist groups. We just bomb them. and with no congressional approval. And nobody ever says anything about that. But we go ahead and start bombing terrorists in the Caribbean Sea. Now everybody's talking about unlawful orders and war crimes. It's like, bro, where were you guys about a couple months ago?
Out of time.
So you might left the room.
I already stated my answer quickly.
So remember this, we lost last year. I think it was more than that, but people don't like saying it because they always said 100,000, 115,000, numbers we've been hearing for years. So we lost last year more than 200.
And here's the thing, though. Now, look, if you think that I'm just going to go along with the story and say that, oh, well, Hegseth is innocent and all that, I don't know, because they have not released the video to show us anything. But sadly, you got to go with the people on the ground, because the person who leaked the video to the Washington Post, they said that they claimed that, yes, Hegseth took out these two dudes. He believed that it was a war crime and all that good stuff. Hegseth is defending it. Trump is defending Hegseth. Even the admiral is saying that, well, I got the military lawyers involved. So as much as you guys want to say it's an unlawful strike, the military lawyers said it was. So yes, the admiral did consult a military lawyer before ordering that strike. What does that tell you? Well, I would say more than likely that the strike was lawful, like it or not. I mean, sometimes you do got to take off the TDS lens and look at things for what they are.
100,000 people, dead people, ruined families beyond the 200,000. And those 200,000, that family will never be the same. But these people have killed over 200,000 people, actually killed over 200,000 people last year. And those numbers are down. Those numbers are down. They're way down. And they're down because we're doing these strikes, and we're going to start doing those strikes on land too. The land is much easier. It's much easier. And we know the routes they take. We know everything about them. We know where they live. We know where the bad ones live. And we're going to start that very soon too.
Mr. President, thank you so much, Mr. President.
And you know what? When we start that, we're going to drive those numbers down so low. And then you're going to have families be able to live without the fear of their son or daughter just having a pill to have a little fun and ending up dying within a period of 60 seconds, right?
Yeah, and I remember I made the point, I made the point last night. I'm like, look, I'm 30. So when I was in college doing all that retardedly reckless things I was doing, I didn't ever have to worry about, oh, if I take this XC pill, will it be the last XC pill? We did not have those problems. We didn't even hear about those problems down the line, or even from our predecessors who would tell us about the great old partying days in their college days. Nobody ever had to worry about taking a Percocet and dying, a Molly and dying. Bro, people even got to worry about smoking weed and your weed possibly being laced and dying. It's gotten that serious now. And honestly, in a way, it's honestly a good thing, because actually keeps people away from trying drugs the first time. But then let's also be real. It's effed up to sit there and you do coke one time and you die. When, let's be real, back in my day, which I never did coke, but the friends that I did, some of my cokehead friends, they didn't die. And even if it was bad coke, they didn't die. So this is absolutely insane to hear. When I'm honestly coming up into my 30s, when I started hearing about all these fentanyl deaths, I was like, honestly, I felt bad, because I didn't have to experience this in my college days. But this is what the new generations have to deal with, these fake drugs that are being stepped on with fentanyl.
No, we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let
or mixed in with fentanyl. Sorry to use hood language.
It continue to happen. What Biden did to this country by allowing all these people, and I call them animals in many cases. I think they're animals, to come into our country and destroy our country and let all those drugs pour in. Let people just walk across the border like it was nothing. You look at them, a lot of them, you say, oh, let's not discriminate. I'm not talking about color. I'm just talking about, you look into the eyes of some of these people. We're smart. And you see a killer. Come on in. Just come on in. 11,888 murderers. Many of them committed more than one murder. He allowed them into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. But he also allowed drugs to come in at record numbers. And hundreds of thousands of people a year died. And we're taking those son of a bitches out. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for taking your questions. I think this is the most transparent administration I've ever seen.
I'm impressed by these people. I'll tell you, how strong are you? You've been holding that for 2 hours You know, there are very few physically, there are very few people who could do. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I have no idea who you are, but you're smart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, last week, militia groups in Iraq attacked the Christian region's gas field, the largest gas field, which even the U.S. companies invested in the energy sector in the Christian region. And the Christian Prime Minister requested the United States to provide them some sorts of means and defense systems in defending their civilian infrastructure and U.S. investment in the Christian region. Are you willing to providing them this support? And in fact, this question, tomorrow the United States is going to open and inaugurate.
Can you speak louder?
Yeah, of course.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
You're the most gentle, beautiful voice. Gentle person. Just take fewer words and louder.
Yeah, sure.
Come on.
I repeat my first question. Last week, the Iraqi militia groups attacked one of the largest gas fields in the Kurdistan region of Iraq, which even the U.S. companies have invested in these gas fields.
Yeah.
And then,
Are you from Iraq?
I'm from Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm working for Huda Media Network. And the Kurdistan region prime minister, he requested the United States providing them some sorts of defense system to defending these gas fields and U.S. investment in the Kurdistan region. Are you willing to helping them?
Well, we'll look at it. I heard about it, and I'm hearing about it more now, frankly. It wasn't at the top of my list. It's a very unusual question, I think, but I assume you're from the area, and to you, it's a very important question, and to me, it is also, because people are being killed. I will say this, Iraq has been much different in terms of us than they were prior to us taking out the nuclear capability of Iran. You know, Iran has gone down many, many steps in terms of its fear factor. They were the bully of the Middle East, and they're really not the bully of the Middle East anymore. And Iraq was being bullied by Iran. You know, we had a president that thought it was brilliant to blow them up, and they blew them up. And all of a sudden, instead of having a power that was basically equal to Iran, they had Iran ruling the Middle East for a long period of time. But Iraq, from the day we hit them with those B-2 bombers and knocked out and obliterated, because CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't total obliteration. Well, it turned out it was totally obliteration. It was every single one of those missiles hit its target. It was actually amazing, but it was wiped out, totally wiped out. I will tell you, Iraq has been a much friendlier place. They talk to us. The prime minister actually nominated me along with about 78 other countries for the Nobel Prize. I'm the only one that was nominated by almost 100 countries that didn't get it, but that's okay. But I saved a lot of lives. But Iraq nominated us for the Nobel Prize, and that was a great honor. You know, we didn't expect that from Iraq. Iraq has been a much different place since
they're probably looking for help from Afghanistan, because right now Iraq and Afghanistan is getting into it, so we'll see where that conflict goes. But it does look like Iraq might be trying to get on America's good side.
Taking out of Iran the nuclear capability. Yeah, let's get to another question. Here we go. This guy's a beauty.
Secretary Rubio mentioned the meetings ongoing in Russia today. Do you have any update from Mr. Wickoff and Mr. Kushner?
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And let's not forget to, if you get, well, support the show with any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements. Just $2 and up. Go ahead and be like my man Jet down there. Appreciate the support, Jet. Well, if you're on the vertical up there.
No, because I've been spending too much time with you. I mean, we're spending a lot of time in here. We wanted to do this you talk about being open and transparent. This has to be the most transparent administration in history. We spent a lot of time answering your questions and giving you a lot of good results. I mean, I think everybody here gave you good results. But no, I don't. I will have after I leave here.
And shout out to Tove. Appreciate the support, sis. Oh yeah, and let's make sure to shout out all the support. So shout out to Jet and Tove. Appreciate y'all. All right, she says, my uncle was a dealer for 30 years. Now he works to get kids off the streets and off the crap. Now, oh wow, shout out to him. He is so glad he got out of the game. I mean, trust me, anybody who's ever sold drugs before or did any type of criminal activity, I promise you love being out the game, because that anxiety, that everyday anxiety just releases off you. And the anxiety can be so nerve-wracking. I mean, like, bro, stepping away from the game and being a law-abiding citizen again is probably like the most relieving feeling in the world. Don't ask me how I know that, but let's just say I know some things. Okay, I've had experience in my life.
But do you hope for a breakthrough, or is it not
I
quite
don't
at
know.
that stage?
I don't know. Look, I don't know. All I can tell you is that we're trying very hard to save 25 to 30,000 people, mostly men, mostly soldiers, every month. 25,000 to 30,000.
Oh, and shout out to Toe's uncle, man. You always gotta respect people that actually try to get people off of drugs, get them out of the street, and put them in honestly on the narrow and straight path. Or anything but selling drugs and risking your future. I mean, shit. I'd rather you go from selling drugs to chasing a rap career is as ignorant as childish as that is to me.
It's impossible. That's half a stadium. Take a big football stadium. Take half of those people in a stadium, and they're wiped out. They're killed every month. It's crazy. That war is crazy. And it would have never happened with me, and it didn't happen for 4 years.
You just mentioned potential land strikes. Can you elaborate anything on that? Are you talking
Yeah,
about
I'll elaborate. If they come in through a certain country or any country, or if we think they're building mills for whether it's fentanyl or cocaine. I hear Colombia, the country of Colombia, is making cocaine. They have cocaine manufacturing plants, okay? And then they sell us their cocaine. We appreciate that very much. But yeah, anybody that's doing that and selling it into our country is subject to attack.
So not necessarily just Venezuela.
No, not just Venezuela. No. Venezuela's been very bad. Venezuela's been really bad in something else, probably worse than most, but a lot of other people do it too. They would send murderers into our country. They would empty their jails into our country. They sent people into our country that we don't want. They sent their drug dealers and their drug people into our country. They sent people from their mental institutions into our country, and we're getting them out. That was bad. That was real bad. And they also sent drugs. Yeah.
Tim Walz, Mr. President, do you think he should resign over the fraud scandal in his state?
And who should?
Tim Walz, over the fraud scandal in his state.
Look, I think
honestly, I think all of them is just shaking in their boots because here's the thing, they're still looking into it. The 86 people that they got caught up in this fraud case, trust me, they're still investigating, they're still interrogating, they're still see if they can drag more people into this and see if they can still drag out more charges or order more charges to be sent out. So yeah, it's still ongoing, and it's funny how Ilhan Omar has been a little silent, was humbled on CNN about addressing it. Tim Walz, of course, he's been skirting the question, trying to blame Trump somehow, some way. So yeah, it is they really are looking a bit scared. Am I saying that they're involved? Well, no, no, I'm not. And most likely they're not involved. Most likely they're not. It does kind of seem like they were just being played along and led into the fraud by other Democratic politicians and constituents as well.
Man's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched JD destroy him in the debate.
Like, hey guys, look, I'm trying to be nice. I'm not trying to sit there and just assume duplicity out the gate. I'm trying to give them a little leeway here. They weren't brought up in the first charges, so I'm not going to throw Tim Walz and Omar under a bus yet until more comes out.
I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. They were both incompetent, and I had a man and a woman. I thought she was very incompetent too, but now she's leading the field, and I think she's leading the field for the nomination. Anyway, look, that's up to them. That's up to the Democrats. The problem with them is they have really bad policy. And I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want them to change it necessarily because I want to run against it. Whether it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody that's going to probably sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people running together sitting at this table, But I want them to win because we've done a great job for this country, and I want that to be carried forward. I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But I think that Walz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him. Okay? There's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, where Somalia which is barely a country. You know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody,
yeah, they're in a three-way war right now between Al-Shabaab, IS Somalia, and what was it? Oh, and I guess the makeshift government official, the makeshift government that they got. So yeah, it's like a three-way fight. We're of course, you know, common American characteristics that we're supporting one side of that war instead of just letting them fight it out and dealing with the winner. We are actually still currently involved in Somalia, sadly.
like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place. And I see these people ripping it off. And now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott. I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions every year, billions of dollars. And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay. Somebody said, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for
Not be real with you. I don't agree with how Trump is like framing this right now and how he's trying to throw the entire community under a bus for the few have done. And I don't like it because Ilhan Omar, and I kind of predicted this, she's using this to pretty much make the Somalian community fearful of MAGA. And it's kind of hilarious because I know people in some of my Somalian homies are feeling like that. And I'm like, yeah, little do you know, bro. Little do you know. I mean, you're friends with a MAGA guy the whole time. You don't even know, G. You don't even know it. But yeah, now Ilhan Omar is actually going out there and be like, see, the MAGA might actually hurt us. We should all be fearful of MAGA. I mean, like, bro, it's so funny when they're saying being fearful. I mean, like, bro, some of you guys are already friends with us now. You don't even know it. So trust me, MAGA ain't gonna do nothing to you. Of course, we got the wild rhetoric of Trump, Laura Loomer, and that Gomez lady, but that's just a small group. And actually, like I said, I don't agree with what Trump is doing on his language. I do agree with how he's bringing up the scamming that's going on in that community, but I don't like he's trying to throw the whole community under as if it's all of them doing it.
a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage.
You know the worst part about it's actually pretty damn funny. So the Somalian community started doing this trend, right? Right, guys, catch this. They're pretty much it's so fucking funny. They're literally saying that Somalia was promised to them 3,000 years ago. And I mean, it's hilarious. Like, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find one of the videos, but there's been a circulation of videos going around pretty much saying that, well, I don't know why Americans were mad. If you actually read up, Minnesota was promised to the Somalian people 3,000 years ago. And if you don't believe it, you're anti-Somali. I was like, bro, that's actually kind of funny. I'll be real with you. And we opened ourselves for that. So it is what it is.
Garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great.
I mean, yeah, the people who are doing that scamming are garbage. Doesn't mean that all Somalian people are garbage. It just means that those Somalians who are scamming are garbage.
People that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country.
I'm crying. Hold on, I didn't hear that part. I must have cut out too early last time. He's like, they don't do nothing but bitch, which is true. I'm be honest with you. there is a lot of guys, Somalians, Africans, just in general, that bitch about being in the freest country, knowing damn well, a prosperous country as well, knowing damn well they couldn't do that in their own country. And then when we bring that out, they want to be like, well, American interference. Yeah, okay, cool. But guess what? You guys still couldn't fix it on y'all own. I mean, you could only sit there and blame us for so long. And I'll even play along into it. I'll sit there and go like, you're right. Due to our interference, this is one of the main reasons why you're over here. But let's not sit here and pretend like, you guys are willing to go back there and solve that problem. Like, I mean, why don't you guys go over there and solve the problem of the three-way war that's going on in Somalia? If not, shut the fuck up and enjoy your time here in America. Like, please and thank you. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for to kiss our ass. We're just asking you for some damn appreciation. Like, think about it. You guys would be in a three-way war in a third world country if you weren't here. Think about that part. Do you really want to go back to Somalia? Are you really that proud to be Somalian if you're not really willing to go back there and, put boots on the ground, join one of the three sides in that war and die for your country? I mean, come on now.
Go back to where they came from and fix it. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
I promise, I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm just saying, if you're not willing to go out there and do that for your country, but you want to stay here and bitch about ours, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, nobody's going to like you being here. Nobody actually cares about what you say. You're just going to enrage people because you're being disrespectful and ungrateful. And everybody hates an ungrateful asshole. Like, let's be real. And we do see a lot of the people in the African community, not just Somalis or immigrant community in general, that are ungrateful. You can't talk shit about this country when you're not willing to go live in your own. All right, then. I thought so. But all right, then. Let's go ahead and get to it. And if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to engage with it. Just $2 and up. And we're going to go ahead and bring down the call-in limit to like $50 for today, since I'm only going to be staying on for like 2 to 3 hours. So appreciate the support, guys. Like I said, if you want to support, $2 and up, super chat. I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage. Or if you're a member like my sis Tove over here, shout out Tove for member for 2 months. So I already pissed off a bunch of people. My hoodie says, I don't run, I reload. Been a fun day. I'm crying. Hey, no, that's a badass hoodie. I don't run, I reload. Let's go. Hey, no, Tove's about that action. I love it. Like, man, she ready. All right, guys, let's get right into it, though, because Tom Homan pulled up to CNN, and Borders are Tom Homan reacts to videos appearing to show ICE detaining U.S. citizens, which they, can do with the help of HSI, which is Homeland Security Investigation, which does run with ICE. But a lot of people don't know that. All right, now let's get into it.
President Trump is doubling down on his efforts to restrict both illegal and legal immigration to the U.S. and launching new ICE raids on Democratic cities after this tirade against Somali immigrants in Minnesota.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. Yeah. I don't want them in our country. We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking.
And here's the thing. I mean, like, look, I would like to extend a olive branch to the Somali community. Okay, we can sit here and condemn Trump for throwing the entire Somalian community under the bus, but you guys literally got to sit there and call out Ilhan Omar for how she constantly disrespects the American people by calling us stupid, calling us dumb. But where were you educated at in America? You weren't educated in Somalia. Let's not get it twisted here. I mean, so yeah, we can calm down our wild ones, but you got to sit there and talk to Ilhan Omar as well. Like, I'm offering an olive branch. We can sit there and call it like, let bygones be bygones. We'll sit there and call it fair is fair. We sat there and called the whole community trash. You want to sit there and start saying that Minnesota was a promise to you guys 3,000 years ago. Okay, touche. Funny. But let's be real, though. If we're going to call out our own, and we don't like how they're throwing your entire group under a bus, can you not sit there and let Ilhan Omar sit there and throw the entire American people under a bus and insult us, since it's our charity that you're living off of in a way? Like, come on now.
Into our country.
Here with me now is President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan. Thank you so much for being here this morning, sir. I do want to start with the new ICE raids in Minnesota. They are sparking widespread fear and uncertainty among people in the Somali community in the Twin Cities. Now, that Somali community in Minnesota is about 80,000 people. The vast majority are U.S. citizens or legal residents. So what is the reason for sending ICE there?
To investigate immigration fraud, most likely. And of course, Trump, took out the TPS protection of those Somali immigrants. So we got to gather at least about about 700 of these guys to deport.
Well, look, we also know there's a large illegal Somali community there.
And I know what the Dems are saying. Oh, really said 700? That's petty. And yeah, you're right. You're right. But hey, he released the TPS status, so we're getting him anyway.
Illegal alien community, large illegal alien community there. If you're a U.S. citizen, you have nothing to fear. We're looking for criminal aliens. And also, if you're a resident alien, you have like a felony conviction by statute, you could be set up for deportation. So we're looking for public safety threats, national security threats, and illegal aliens. Nothing's changed, Dana, from day one.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to several state and local officials who've said that the number of Somali immigrants who are living in the U.S. illegally there is very, very small, and that this is about scaring people more than it is about arresting criminals. So what have you actually accomplished with this operation so far in Minnesota?
Well, we're just starting, and I disagree. The fact when people, even we don't know how many illegal Somalis there are, because remember, in the last 4 years in Joe Biden, there's over 2 million gotaways, known gotaways, people caught on video, drone traffic, or sensor traffic that crossed the border illegally and weren't apprehended, weren't vetted. And so, what President Trump's doing is fixing the last 4 years of the open border, where millions of people are released in this country, many we don't know who they are. So we're going to do the same thing in the Twin Cities we've done across the nation. We're going to focus on those illegal alien public safety threats in these cities. And if they weren't a sanctuary city, many of these people would be apprehended in the safety and security of the county jail. But because they're a sanctuary city, we got to send more resources there to flood the zone, because it takes a whole team.
Because sanctuary cities don't let the local police actually help out ICE agents. So they do got to send in more ICE agents, which is the sanctuary city's fault.
To find somebody in the community where it would take one agent to arrest one bad guy in a county jail. So this is exactly what President Trump promised American people were going to do, and that's what we're doing.
So you are confident that once this operation is over in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, you are confident that you will unearth many more illegal immigrants in the Somali community than people who are there, local officials, state officials believe actually exist?
Look, we're going to arrest every illegal alien that we find there. But again, we're going to prioritize the public safety threats, national security threats. These are target enforcement operations. And, the success has been proven in Washington, D.C., New York City, Chicago, North Carolina. Every city we've hit, we arrest a lot of criminal illegal aliens. I looked at the numbers today. By the end of this calendar year, we're going to be around 600,000 deportation, in the majority of them being public safety threats.
Okay.
Minneapolis, the city, a councilman there in particular, Jamal Osman, who was born in Somalia, told CNN that, quote, Somali citizens have...
Which is crazy, by the way. I do think that, I don't know, but it is a controversial stance, but we should only allow people who are born in America to actually hold any type of office. Like, I don't care, congressman, mayor, councilman, it doesn't matter. Like, it should only be people who are born in America that should be able to hold office. If you weren't born in America, all right, man, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. You can just sit here and enjoy all the benefits of being in America, except holding office. I just don't think that they can honestly align with us the way an American-born citizen can. I just don't think they can do it. I just don't think they can feel the same way for the American people as a soil-born American citizen can. I'm just saying. This is my personal opinion, of course, though.
Been stopped on the street, asked to provide documentation, and that he never thought he'd have to tell people to carry their passports around because they look Somali. Are ICE agents stopping people because they look, quote unquote, Somali?
Why not?
No, they're not. The law requires agents are trained in Fourth Amendment training.
Think about it. They do their investigation. They find out where these guys are at, and then they go get them. They just don't pull up to a Somali neighborhood and be like, "Hey, you, bring me your papers." No, it's not like that. It'd be really efficient if they did that. I'm not gonna lie, but no, it's not like that.
Every 6 months, Border Patrol's trained Fourth Amendment training. They stop. You can detain and question people for a short period of time based on reasonable suspicion. That's
And what is that
federal
suspicion?
statute.
Is
That's
it
what
based
federal
on
statute
how they
says.
look?
No, their appearance alone can't raise reasonable suspicion.
Yeah, I mean, if they look a little Somali and they look a little third world country, you know, I'm gonna have to pull them to the side and be like, yeah, where's your papers? Sorry, it is what it is.
It's articulable facts, a lot of different facts taken into consideration. And the Supreme Court just backed the Trump administration up on this. I know a lot of the media says, oh, the Supreme Court just justified racial profiling. That's not what the Supreme Court said. Supreme Court said they agree with the way these operations are being conducted because the standard of reasonable suspicion is.
Yeah, and that's what the headline was: the Supreme Court approves of ICE racial profiling, when no, they agreed of how ICE was carrying out their investigation and enacting upon it. That's it. So no. And they were trying to say that ICE was racially profiling. They took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in the favor of how ICE were doing things. And now the libs are started to lose their shit because now they can't say that, you know, ICE is disobeying the court or Trump is disobeying the courts.
Being used by both ICE and the Border Patrol in the interior operations.
Mr. Homan.
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. And if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Or if you just want to show some support.
The president said very clearly this week that he doesn't want Somali immigrants in America. He called them garbage. Is that the real reason this operation is happening in the Somali community?
No, I think President Trump's referring to public safety threats as national security threat from Somalia and every other country.
Well, he didn't say that. He said
he's been clear from day one.
He talked about the whole community.
Well, look, I'm not aware what the President Trump was thinking when he said that, but I agree with President Trump. From day one, he has said, we are concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. He was put in the Oval Office to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. That's exactly what we're doing. That's what American people voted for. So you know, there's numerous countries that President Trump's, you know, is looking at everybody that came from these countries, make sure they're vetted properly. Some of these countries don't have the proper systems in place to totally vet somebody, so we don't know who they really are. So President Trump's taken upon himself in this administration to make sure anybody that came to this country illegally that we find, and those that came into a vetting process that weren't properly vetted, they don't have the database and information to ensure they're properly vetted, that we're going to relook at those cases and make sure they're properly vetted. And we have all the data we have from them. Some of these countries don't have the databases.
I mean, facts. I mean, just like Afghanistan, we expected Afghanistan to give us a criminal background on some of these guys, and they didn't really have anything to give us. And we just thought that, and we just saw that as a green light. And then we just let these guys into our country. I mean, we're talking about the Afghanistan guys, or the Afghanis that we let in through Operations Allies Welcome, which now the Trump administration said we need to revet these guys to make sure that they were properly vetted, because they're saying that the Biden administration completely fumbled on that. But all right, now let's go ahead and get over to this quick little clip real quick with Ilyan Omar on Face the Nation. Let's see what she got to say about the fraud.
There are 80,000 people of Somali descent in your state, but the president has been very focused, not just on them, but on you. In this extraordinary cabinet meeting, he said Somalis, quote, come from hell. They complain and they do nothing but bitch. Take a listen.
These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Yep. I mean, no, for real. If you're going to talk crazy and talk down on Americans, then yes, please go join the three-way fight in your country and go fix it. Since your country's also great, since your people are what? Also better than Americans, great. Well, go make Somali like America and prove it to us. If not, shut the fuck up. I'm just being real with you guys.
Thank you very much.
That knocking is vehement agreement from his cabinet members there. I just wonder what the reaction is in your district to have that from the highest office in the land.
It's disgusting. It's completely disgusting. These are Americans that he is calling garbage.
I mean, sweetheart, you sat there and called Americans stupid and that you wouldn't debate him because America is dumb and the stupidity in America is very high. I mean, you talked very crazy about your own people as well. But I mean, you weren't talking, and let's be real, when you said that statement about Americans, Ilhan Omar, you weren't talking about your own people. You weren't talking about Somalian Americans. You were talking about any American but your own. All right. So let's be real here. You can't sit there and say, oh, well, Trump is talking about all Americans, or she's talking about American people. Sweetheart, you called us all retarded, basically. You called us all dumb. You said you couldn't debate us because we're just not intelligent like you. And you said the American people, and you said we had a dumbing down problem. I'm sorry, but who are you to talk? Like, let's be real.
And it's disgusting. It's completely disgusting. These are Americans that he is calling garbage. And we feel like there is.
Yeah, for the few in your community that sit there and complain about America, but don't want to go back and fix Somalia, for the very few in your community that actually thinks it's okay to sit there and scam the American the American taxpayer, yeah, those guys are garbage. We're not saying all the Somalians are garbage, but those guys who do that are. Well, I know Trump said y'all are garbage, but my personal feelings towards the Somali community is that, yeah, of course, everybody got garbage people in their community or their race group.
Is an unhealthy obsession that he has on the Somali community, and an unhealthy and creepy obsession that he has with me. I think it is also really important for.
I mean, Ilhan Omar, let's be real. You kind of bring this attention to yourself due to your hateful rhetoric against, well, honestly, white people and Americans in general. Like I said, there's plenty of clips where you sat there and just dunked on the American people, completely sat there and, like, honestly, doubted their intelligence. So who are you to sit there and say that, oh, he's coming after all Americans when you've made like similar statements? He called y'all all garbage. You called us all stupid. I mean, you can't really be upset.
Us to remember that.
That's what I'm saying. We should all just extend the olive branch and be like, all right, bro, you called us stupid. We called y'all garbage. Let's just get over it. All right. Our bad. But you do have to sit here. You do have to sit there and turn around to y'all people and be like, yeah, we need to show this country a little bit more respect. Because one, we're not willing to go to our own. We're not willing to fix our own. And sitting here joking about how Minnesota's promised us about 3,000 years ago isn't really going to get y'all anywhere. Just like sitting here and calling you guys trash isn't going to get us anywhere.
This kind of hateful rhetoric and this level of dehumanizing can lead to dangerous actions by people who listen to the president.
I mean, just like how you guys call us fascists, and that leads to dangerous actions against conservatives. Like, you know how Tim Pool's house was what? I think Tim Pool was shot at maybe like a couple days ago. So yeah, what about that? I mean, it only matters when it's you guys, right? All right, okay. Doesn't matter when it's somebody on the right. It only matters when it's somebody on the left. And nothing even be happening to these guys. That's the crazy part. Nothing really even happens. And thank God it doesn't. Thank God. I don't want Ilhan Omar to get hurt in no way, shape, or form. No way, shape, or form. I disagree with her to high heaven. I mean, I disagree with her most likely on probably 99% of everything. But do I want her dead? Of course not. Hurt? Of course not.
Some of these countries don't.
To be made fun of? Okay, sure.
Even do the proper checks before they issue a passport to their citizens to come to this country. So President Trump's doing the right thing. Make sure everybody that came in legally came in through proper vetting, especially from countries that are related to terrorism or are somehow related to high numbers of overstays or high number of criminal aliens in this country. That's what he's doing. He's protecting America, and I agree with 100% what he's doing, Dana.
The Department of Homeland Security posted on social media this week that ICE does not arrest or deport U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
Just the other day.
Yeah, I know. They detain. They don't arrest. They detain U.S. citizens.
I want to show you some video. There was an incident of masked ICE agents targeting a 22-year-old mother in New Orleans, chasing her to her home, even though she told them she was a U.S. citizen. And
okay, just because she told them don't mean that it's true. Now, if you said, oh, she provided proper documentation that she was a U.S. citizen and they still chased her down, okay, now that's a story. But saying, oh, I'm illegal. Well, no, we don't know that. You just yelling it out don't mean that, okay? I'm sorry.
This video, which I am actually going to show you, it was an incident in the state of Florida.
She made it to home base.
Now,
It
she
is
was
what it
released
is.
once they found her driver's license.
Here's the funny thing is though, she looks like a complete white lady. I'll be real with you. It's like, wait, she don't even look Mexican or anything like that. But hey, man, illegals can be white people too. I mean, sure, we got illegal black people, illegal Chinese people that need to go. I'm like, across the board.
Now, she was released once they found her driver's license in her car that said she was, in fact, a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So if ICE.
So there you go. She was detained. She wasn't arrested. Like, just because you got handcuffs on you, sweetheart, doesn't mean that you're arrested or they took her to the station. No, she got detained while they went and investigated. They found her license, and it was like, oh, all right, well, she's a U.S. citizen. All right, guys, let her go. Let her go. It is what it is. There you go. End of story. Don't need to make such a big deal about it. But shout out to my man Chase, like deport and defend borders and bombings. Dang, all right. Shout out to my man Chase. MAGA, not your grandfather's party anymore. Welcome to the MAGA party. Cry, we don't give a fuck. God bless America. And man, shout out to my man Chase. I mean, you came in hot with that one. I mean, whew. But appreciate the support, guys. And if you want to be like my man Chase, you can send in $2 and up. I'll be happy to read any type of question, comment, disagreement out loud and engage with it. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's not forget to double tap that screen.
Says it doesn't arrest U.S. citizens. Why do we keep seeing incidents like the one I just played, so aggressively pursuing people, as they say?
Aggressively? That was aggressive? Really? Are you sure? Because aggressive would have been that dude tackling that girl to the ground, shoving that arm behind her back and be like, yeah, you done. It's a wrap. You going to jail. And taking her to jail, putting her in a cell for like, bro, for more than 3 days. Yeah, I'm be real with you. That's effed up. But has that happened? No, it hasn't. She got detained while they looked through her car. They found her ID and they let her go. I mean, that's what happens.
They are lawfully in America.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I started as border patrol in 1984. Through my nearly 4 decades of work, I can't tell you how many times an illegal alien claimed to be a U.S. citizen. It happens all the time. But it's getting back to what I just said. Reasonable suspicion. If they have reasonable suspicion, stop and question somebody and shortly hold them and detain them briefly for questioning. Mm-hmm. If they have reasonable suspicion, they can stop. So do I think?
Yeah, they can get stopped with reasonable suspicion. I mean, bro, it's like I'll be real with you. It's like rolling past a cop slowly and looking directly at the cop the entire time. You don't think that cop's gonna pull you over? But I just looked at him. I just stared at him while I was driving past slowly. Yeah, that's a bit weird and a bit suspicious. You don't think he's gonna pull you over? All right then. So I'm sorry, but there is such thing as reasonable suspicion. If you act reasonably suspicious, they will look into you. And apparently that lady was acting reasonably suspicious.
There's been 0 U.S. citizens that have been detained for questioning because reasonable suspicion said they may be in the country illegally and may have an issue with that. But as soon as that questioning is over, if they're U.S. citizens, they'd be released. It takes probable cause to arrest somebody and actually, transport and take them into custody. So, I'm not aware of these specific cases, Dana. I'm not there, but I won't have faith that the ICE agents are gathering articulable facts for reasonable suspicion to detain somebody and question them.
So there's reasonable suspicion that you're talking about. There is.
Sweetheart, I mean, here's the thing. I'd have told Dana, I'm like, look, this ain't really a story unless she was arrested for real, actually had brought charges upon and all that wild stuff. I mean, yes. Then we could sit there and say ICE is in the wrong. But no, ICE arresting somebody, not arresting, I'm sorry, but detaining somebody for less than 72 hours just to find out if they're a U.S. citizen is not wrong. They can do that if they want. Actually, ICE could pull me over and say, yo, are you a U.S. citizen? All I got to do is show my ID. Now, let's just say I sit there and I say, no, I'm a U.S. citizen. I don't got to show you nothing. Well, they're going to take me out the car, even though I am a U.S. citizen, but because I ain't show them nothing, now they're going to have to sit there and prove it for themselves. Just the way it is, guys.
Releasing somebody once they're comfortable that they are a U.S. citizen. And then there's just the aggressive tactics that we are seeing in video after video. You're comfortable with those tactics that we're all seeing with our own eyes?
How is that aggressive? I mean, like I said, one, the lady didn't get tackled. And then two, it sounds like she was taken in pretty amicably. I'm gonna be real with you, pretty reasonably. I didn't see where she didn't get hurt. She didn't get thrown to the ground. If anything, she do what most women do and just fall to the ground and become like a limp body when they get arrested.
Look,
and of course, cry hysterically.
Threats on ICE officers are up 1,200%. They're being doxxed on social media. They're getting death threats every day. They've been attacked. They've been shot at. And you know, these officers out there look for the worst of the worst. So they're protecting themselves. And I think they're following the law. And if any ICE officer, Border Patrol agent, acts out of policy or does something inappropriate, they'll be held accountable. But we got to remember, I mean, they're under attack, and we're at a place in this country where all of a sudden the ones who enforce the law are the bad guys, and the ones who broke the laws are victims. I'm going to trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol who've been trained very well. They're doing the right thing. But I'll say again, if someone does something inappropriate, out of policy, illegal, they need to be held accountable. But I simply think I haven't seen that. And again, I'm not in every arrest. I'm not in every operation. I trust the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol to do the right thing.
Tom Homan, thank you so much for being here this
And
morning.
all right, yeah, like I said, she had pretty much a non-story. So no, she wasn't arrested. She was detained. And she even proved that, I mean, thanks to Dana Bash, thank you for proving that, because they said, yeah, she was detained. They looked into her car, found out she was U.S. citizen and released. I mean, that happens every day, G. It happens every day. But for some reason, they want to act brand new about being detained for some reason. Try to say that, oh, American citizens are being arrested and deported, but they're not. So can y'all please stop lying to the American people about that, please?
Cash.
Like, you're putting fellow Americans in danger doing that. I hope you know.
I'm excited to sit down with you finally.
Yeah, thanks so much for making time.
Yeah, no, there's so much going on and there's so much that you're involved with. I want to start with the terror attack that we saw here just before Thanksgiving in DC in front of the White House, where obviously one service member lost her life. There's another one who was injured. The individual who perpetrated this crime obviously came to the United States after the botched Afghanistan withdrawal under Joe Biden. Is there anything else you can tell us that the FBI knows about this person, possibly about his motives, or anything that you guys have already uncovered?
Absolutely. It's, of course, just one of the worst tragedies you can encounter when service members.
Because I believe, what was he, like 29 years old? He came in through Operations Allies, which he worked with a paramilitary group. And yes, he was a guy holding a gun out there shooting at the Taliban and sometimes innocent civilians for the American army, well, for U.S. counterintelligence. So basically the CIA, a CIA-backed group that carried out night raids. So yeah, I mean, this man had quite the decorated past. And the problem is, through the Operations Allies welcome, we're not sure if they actually were properly vetted. All we looked for was, all right, do you have a criminal history in Afghanistan that doesn't really have a criminal database? Oh, no. Oh, are you connected to the Taliban? Oh, no. Okay, you're in. Without really checking if they're connected to places like IS, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda. Nope, we just checked for the Taliban and that was it. And now here they are. And I'm not going to sit here and say that all 80,000 or over 80,000 of them that we brought in are bad. No, of course not. We're just saying that they need to be revetted because this guy's a concerning situation. I mean, he damn near went through three vetting processes. I mean, one for Operations Allies welcome. I mean, and then two, what was it? I think for the Operations Allies welcome, I think there was a second one. But I know the third one was when he got asylum in April of 2025. So there's at least been 2 to 3 times he was vetted and he got through then. And now what? After he gets naturalized in August of 2025, which is this year, we're looking now 6 months down the line and here he is shooting somebody. It's absolutely insane.
Members are shot and killed. You know, I was here in DC on duty all week, so I went to the crime scene. I went to the hospital to visit with the members of our National Guard, and it's a whole interagency process when something like this happens.
And shout out to Tove. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I'm tired of the U.S. burning to keep the whole world warm. Yeah, I know, and they don't even appreciate it. They don't even appreciate it. I mean, they don't even appreciate how we're the ones we're the reason why they're able to afford universal health care. We're the reasons why they have low drug prices because the pharmaceutical companies charge us more. It's like, and they're not even appreciative of it. If they were, I'll be real with you, the American people will like low-key be okay with it. Cause at least we get the thanks. No, but we just get straight disrespect and clown. So it's like, all right, cool. Well, let's just pull all this back. And then it's funny when we want to pull it all back, they want to sit there and cry and call, oh, we're betraying everybody. We're ruining relationships and all this wild stuff while y'all was playing in our faces for decades. I'm talking about the countries around the world.
happens. We're on the scene
Oh,
with DHS and Secret Service and DOJ. Because what you want to do is hold the person or people accountable and make sure that, especially for the families, you provide them some closure. And so we do know a few things, some of which you said. The individual is in this country because not only of the disastrous Afghan withdrawal by the prior administration, but also because they selected intentionally to not vet a single one of these people. Thousands.
yeah, but that's the thing though. They had to vet him. Just okay. There's a third vetting. Yeah. So the first vetting was to get him into that program. They're not just pulling anybody off the street here. They're actually got to sit there and vet these guys and make sure they have no ties to the Taliban whatsoever. That's the first vetting process this guy went through. The second vetting process is when he got brought here under Operations Allies Welcome. The third vetting process would be for naturalization to see, all right, well, what have you done within these? Because he got brought here under Operations Allies Welcome in 2021. 4 years later, he gets naturalized. And 4 years from then, I mean, what, he has a kid. I mean, he has like, what, 4 kids, a wife, and all this wild stuff within those 4 years. He gets naturalized in April, like I said. And now we're fast forwarding all the way out to November, and he shoots a National Guardman. And here's the wild part. Bro drives cross country to shoot 2 National Guardsmen, just 2. But he got in his car and drove across the country from Washington to do that crime. It's like, it's weird. It's weird. It's sus. It just thinks of all types of MK Ultra bullshit. But that's just my wild speculation on the matter. More than likely, either he was going through PDS, or he was going through like some type of PDS. He started to go through some type of PTSD, or he might have actually had some ties to some terrorist organizations. And they're actually trying to say, I remember there was I think it was New York Post. New York Post came out and said that he might have been blackmailed by a terrorist group back in Afghanistan, aka the Taliban. So we'll see what comes out. Oh, and shout out Sandra. Appreciate the support, sis. Defamation, fraud, and perjury are not protected by the First Amendment. Yeah, and I'd hope that people would remember that. I would hope they would remember that.
Thousands and thousands of people. That's a broader problem that we're tackling now as a result of this. But when it comes to what do we do here, the FBI's goal immediately is to map out the entire network that exists, everyone he's ever touched or encountered, not just in America, but over in Afghanistan and anywhere else in the world, surveilling anyone in America that may have an affiliation with this guy, going and conducting interviews. We already hit houses in San Diego and Seattle. We seized dozens of devices related to him, laptops, computers, cell phones. We served, I think, nearly 30 search warrants across the country already. And so that's the kind of investigative approach you have to take to consume this.
Guys, let's not forget, guys, I already see some misinformation in the chat. Guys, he was brought in under Biden under Operations Allies Welcome in 2021. He became a naturalized citizen under Trump in April. Like, that's the timeline right there. So for people who are trying to say, oh, you got let in under Trump, it's Trump. It's like, no. You got let in under Biden. And I'm not even really, honestly, they are trying to blame the Biden administration's vetting process on this, but we can't even say that until we got all the facts. Because like I said, it could just be PTSD and he could have just snapped because he wasn't living the best lifestyle.
Information
definitely wasn't lavish, I'll tell you that.
And then properly adjudicate
a whole lot of stress.
Well, you mentioned the vetting process, and I think that this in particular has raised a lot of questions about vetting for people coming into the United States of America. The president has acknowledged it. There's an extensive review underway in terms of green cards issued from high-risk countries. So what needs to happen, in your view, as director of the FBI to ensure the safety of the American people as it relates to this vetting?
Well, the vetting is taken up largely by DHS. And so we have to work in conjunction with Secretary Noem and her team, who've been wonderful, to make sure we identify absolutely everybody associated with this disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, and then the flooding into our country of people who are never looked at. So what we do is we take all of those individuals and triage them through all of our databases and see, are there any name check issues? Are there any identifiers that lead to people that are already in custody or that we're already investigating? And so the FBI's focus point is on that, on protecting and preventing future criminal acts and future acts of terrorism, while we work with our partners at DHS to have them give us the information that says, hey, we need to go back collectively and do more vetting on this person, this person, this person.
So from your perspective, though, do you agree with the idea that maybe it is a good thing to pause some of the people coming into this country, as the president has said?
100%. It's the only way to get your hands around this, because as President Trump rightfully stated, these people should have been vetting. We left the Biden administration a blueprint per President Trump. And what did the prior administration do? They threw that blueprint out. They said, we don't need your opinion. We don't need your advice. And fast forward, unfortunately, 4 years and change to today, what do we have? A terrorist attack on American soil that could have been prevented, but for the politicization by the prior administration.
The FBI has now said, as it relates to Thomas Crooks, who was the attempted assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania, that he worked alone. So there's been so much that has surrounded this, so many questions, people saying, well, we don't know that we feel we have the full story. You guys at the FBI are saying, this is the full story. He worked alone. Can you give us insight into what led you into that determination?
We took a similar approach with this investigation as the one we just talked about. We said, look, the public has questions. Let's go look at everything again, just in case. And so we've been presenting the administration with our findings over the course of the last few months, even 6-8 months now. And the president has been fully satisfied with our findings, because this is what we did. We got into every single device that was seized that he owned, read every email, read every contact, read every social media posting he had. And we did a full-blown investigation into, are you, Thomas Crooks, in touch with anyone overseas? And did you have information as to motive or working with others on this? That was the extent and depth of our research. And that's why we are able to today say, based on what we have in our holdings and our investigation, that led us to the conclusion we led to. But we've also left it in a pending and active status. That means if some other information were to come to light in the future, well, we will look at that. That's why we never shut it off. Unlike other administrations, the prior one, they just said, we're done. Nothing to see here. And so we're trying to give the American public as much accountability as we can and transparency, but we can't answer the black space in terms of what's out there on social media and all of that. We're not in the business of hiding anything. What would this FBI have to hide by someone who tried to kill President Trump and did kill another individual and shot others on that day?
Well, you're right. I think that that is important and paramount at the end of the day, to get answers to people. But Director, this should have never happened. And, you know, so many of us look at what led up to that shooting, what led up to those moments. And we say, how was this able to happen? So now, as director of the FBI, who do you look at? Where were the red flags? Who missed the things they shouldn't have missed, in your estimation?
Well, look, it's easy to play the blame game, especially looking back at it in 2020 hindsight. But this was an interagency failure by the prior administration. You and I both know that the campaign reached out and said, hey, we need more security for the president and his team. And they refused. So that's step one. When you have more agents and more cops and more people going in ahead of time and surveilling the scene, then you can prevent attacks like this. What's come out now is that the Secret Service and other law enforcement agencies were severely limited in the resources they had leading up to the assassination attempt at Butler. That, in my opinion, is a critical failure. When you need 100 guys and you get 20, there's only so much 20 can do. And so I think, to me, that's the criticality of it.
Do you think we'll ever get full accountability? Will there ever be a person or people who, because of their failure, this happened and they're held accountable, do you think?
I mean, I think for me, from the Bureau perspective, it's criminal conduct. You know, will we ever get to a position in this investigation, as of right now today, did anyone conduct criminal acts of actual negligence? We don't have information to support that. And that's not saying it didn't happen, but we're basing our information on the totality of information that the prior administration collected at that time. We can't go back there and investigate the crime scene. We can't go back there and collect all the cell phone information, the tower data, the dumps, and talk to local law enforcement and witnesses on the day of and the days immediately after. But what we did was we recreated the scene, and we recreated what would have happened had law enforcement not acted swiftly on that day. Things such as Thomas Crooks actually had an explosive device that he put in a vehicle.
I've never seen this before.
Fortunately, never went off. But these were other issues that were just missed. How did this guy allowed to have?
I mean, bro, it was up there clear as day.
Things such as Thomas Crooks actually had an explosive device that he put in a vehicle on the grounds, and that fortunately never went off. But
Wow.
these were other issues that were just missed. How did this guy?
I'm not gonna lie. If he just shot Trump, bro, would have the perfect diversion. So it said shoot Trump, blow up the explosive device, and clear out. Like that seemed like the plan. Like he wanted to shoot Trump, blow up the explosive device, and head out of town.
Allowed to have a vehicle, get on the grounds, use a drone, and all these other things. And those are questions we're trying to answer to the best of our ability, but we can't make up answers. So if there's a vacuum, we're not going to fill it by just putting out hyperbole. We're going to just continue to put out the facts. And if more comes in.
Oh, guys, let's make sure to double tap that screen like the video. Let's make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, guys. We do this every night. So go ahead and hit that icon up there to the main page and go subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the support.
We'll put it out.
Hey, everyone.
All right. Let's go ahead and
Lucas
get to the
Tomlinson joins us
other
after-
side of the news on CNN. Russia launches a massive aerial assault on Ukraine as peace talks resume. Yeah, I know. Peace talks still going while Russia's still bombing.
In the midst of peace.
We're learning talks between top Ukrainian and U.S. officials have just wrapped up in Miami today. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said there has been progress made over the last 2 days of talks. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky says he also had a, I'm quoting now, very substantive, end quote, call with U.S. officials. As CNN's Paula Hancock explains, even as talks continue, the war in Ukraine rages on.
In the midst of peace talks, we did see once again another deadly night across Ukraine. Hundreds of Russian drones and missiles being fired with loss of life. We also know that the energy grid, the energy infrastructure, once again was targeted in Ukraine. Now, in the capital, Kyiv, we understand that the air raid sirens were sounding for some 8 hours as residents were told to continue to shelter. Now, we heard from the Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs saying that Russia is blatantly disregarding peace efforts by carrying out these attacks. And peace efforts are ongoing. It's day 3 of talks between the US and Ukrainian delegation in Miami, Florida. Now, we heard from the State Department on Friday calling these discussions constructive. We've also had a status.
Yeah, it does seem like right now on the battlefield that it seems like Russia is actually trying to take more land so they can give it away. They're trying to take past what the regions that they do want so they can just give away those places that they took and keep the regions that they want, which is pretty much all of, well, I would say Eastern Ukraine, no, Western Ukraine, right? No, Eastern Ukraine, sorry.
Update, if you like, from the US mediators.
I mean, of course, Crimea, the Donbass, Zaporizhzhia. Yeah, I mean, a lot has been taken by Russia. Like I said, about 10 to 20% of Ukraine is set up to be de facto Russia. If these peace talks don't somewhat go in Ukraine's favor, the problem is they won't, because Ukraine can't gain any leverage on the battlefield. And we can't give them any leverage because we're not willing to go to war with Russia over Ukraine.
Is Steve Witkoff, who's the special envoy for the Trump administration, and President Trump.
And the fact that people really thought we were going to jump into World War III over Ukraine is hilarious to me. I mean, you really thought we were going to go to World War III over Ukraine? I'm sorry, but they're not that important, okay? Like, maybe to you guys, but to throw friends and family members into war for Ukraine with Russia? No, I'm sorry. It's just, we're not doing that. It's not worth it.
Son-in-law Jared Kushner, and they said in this statement that both parties, the US and Ukraine, agreed that real progress depends on Russia's readiness to show serious commitment. Now, this sounds like a US acknowledgement, at least, that Russia is showing no indication that it is willing to compromise or willing to change its maximalist demands. Now, in that statement, we also heard Steve Witkoff say that they had, quote, agreed on a framework of security arrangements and discussed necessary deterrence capabilities, pointing out that this is actually the 6th meeting between these delegations over the past 2 weeks, showing that this shuttle diplomacy is intense. But of course, it is still unilateral at this point. We're still hearing from European officials that Europe needs to be more involved. We heard this once again from Emmanuel Macron, the French president, saying that unity between Americans and Europeans when it comes to trying to push this peace process forward is indispensable.
Paula Hancock's CNN, Abu Dhabi.
Russia launched one.
I mean, the problem is with Europe is that they're not being real with Ukraine. They're not really trying to sit there and tell Ukraine that, look, you can't beat Russia, and we just can't keep sending you weapons to beat Russia. And here's the problem is, like, it's kind of ignorant because, look, if Europe really cared that much, they'd have been fighting alongside Ukraine a long time ago. And remember, they're the main ones fear-mongering, going like, well, once Ukraine goes, we're next. And I don't think they actually believe that, or else they'd have been put boots on the ground a long time ago instead of depending on the USA to keep sending money and weapons. I mean, let's be honest. If they really cared that Russia was going to take them over, they'd have been acting a little bit more seriously, put a little bit more of a foot forward.
Largest aerial assaults on Ukraine in months. 5 people have been killed, at least 5. The Ukrainian Air Forces, they say that they detected 704 air attack weapons overnight across the country. Ukraine's air defense shot down 615 of those weapons. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the main targets of the strikes were energy facilities. And now negotiations between top Ukrainian and U.S. officials, they're expected to continue today. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, he cited progress as they head into their 3rd day of talks. CNN's Paula Hancock joins me now from Abu Dhabi. Talks expected to start in a few hours in Miami. What do you know?
Well, Victor, we heard from the Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs saying that Russia's blatantly disregarding these peace efforts. The fact that these talks are ongoing at this point in
Well,
Miami.
I'm being real with you. So is Europe and Ukraine. I mean, they could just order a ceasefire. They can withdraw from the battle lines because they're not even winning at the battle line. And they can go ahead and stop the fighting right now. So we can also say that Ukraine is also resisting peace efforts as well, not just Russia. And Russia, they have everything to gain from keeping the war going. And, well, Ukraine, they have everything to lose.
And yet we're still seeing these deadly attacks overnight across Ukraine. Now, we know that there will be talks for a 3rd day today, this Saturday. It will be with the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, with Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, meeting with a Ukrainian delegation, their National Security Secretary and Chief of Staff. Now, we've heard from the State Department that these discussions so far have been constructive. We did get a statement as well from the mediators, that the U.S. side, which gave us a little more insight into what's being discussed. Now, in this statement, it said that both parties, the U.S. and Ukraine, agreed that real progress depends on Russia's readiness to show serious commitment. So potentially an acknowledgement there from the US side that Russia up until this point has shown no compromise whatsoever and is sticking to its maximalist demands. There was another part of this statement that was interesting as well, saying, quote, they have agreed on a framework of security arrangements and discussed necessary deterrence capabilities.
And we will see what develops out of that. To be quite honest, I don't think too much is going to happen with that one. Well, mainly because, like I said, it's a lost cause when it comes to Ukraine. We can't get them a better deal. Ukraine actually has to, honestly, fight for a better deal. And they've lost the battle, so there is no fighting for a better deal. And they can't take land back from Russia. I mean, they can't push Russia all the way out of Ukraine. Shoot, they can't even stop Russian missiles. So what are we talking about here by sitting there, like, standing behind them, thinking that they could still win? I'm sorry, but, like, yes, Europe is being delusional. And, of course, some people in America, like the Warhawks, are definitely being delusional. But, all right, now, let's go ahead and get into a Doha Forum. I think, this came out a little bit ago. Tucker Carlson's fuel interview with Qatar's prime minister. All right, let's get into this. This should be interesting. Let's see what this man Tucker got to say.
Thank you, Sheikh Mohammed, for doing this. Have you been reading the coverage on American social media of this?
Well, actually, I've been going through some of them this morning, and I saw like a lot of contradicting messages.
Pretty intense, I'd say. This country's being denounced as a terror state, terror financing, very high.
Which is true. I mean, what killed me was how we completely turned against Qatar as an ally as soon as Israel bombed them. And I was sick because it was just like, are you serious? Like, these guys are holding negotiations. They're literally the country that helps us get in contact with enemy Islamic country or enemy Muslim countries. Like, bro, they invest in our economy and, of course, other economies around the world. I mean, how are they an enemy? I'm just saying, how are they an enemy? They never did anything crazy to us. They've only helped us get in contact and with other other enemy states or nations, not other enemy nations, but enemy nations, because they're not an enemy. They've only been an ally to us. They let us have an air base over there. They've invested in the American economy. So how is Qatar an enemy? Oh, they're an enemy because Israel bombed them, right? Okay.
Volume, lots of attacks, including from politicians, sitting U.S. senators.
Oh no, and then let's be real. I mean, according to everybody that just hates Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, they're all taking Qatari money. I mean, they've even accused me of taking Qatari money, and I'm just like, nah. According to my recent upload, I'm actually taking money from the Somalians.
Ted Cruz, for example. And the main criticism seems to revolve around Hamas. And the idea is that your country, and you specifically, are supporters of Hamas, you're terror financiers. And I'd like to just get right to the truth of that. So my understanding is Hamas is here in Doha because the United States and Israel asked you to host Hamas. Is that true?
I mean, shoot, Israel done asked Qatar to actually help fund Hamas with their money. So yes, Israel and under Bibi Netanyahu sent money to Qatar and told Qatar to give it to Hamas. This is true. These are true things. These are facts.
True, and if not, what is the truth about Hamas in Doha?
Well, thank you, Tucker. First of all, look, the starting of the relationship with Hamas and the communication was started back more than 10 years, 13 years ago, at the request of United States. Even beyond that, like it was 19 years ago when they first participated in the election, and then when they moved their office back in 2012 here, it was used only for the communication and to facilitate like ceasefire, facilitating aids to Gaza. Now, unfortunately, Qatar has been attacked for having them here. But when you look, at what's happening within the region, this region, when you look at its conflict, it has the parties of the conflict. Sometimes they are state actors, sometimes they are non-state actors. If you have no one speaking to those
Hold on, it's here. All right, so a clip came in from my Somali backers. I mean, so he's pretty much here's me meeting up with my Somali backers.
I linked up with the Somalis that got me right. Welcome to my new life.
I mean, you gotta like it. The Somalians is generous people, man. They hooked me up with the scam, and now got the nice house with the cars. Of course, I'm just playing, but y'all get my point. Apparently, you back up any community or you back up anybody, and now they're saying that you're supported by them.
State actors, how we are going to resolve or to reach to a solution at the end of the day. And now we have seen that this communication has led to ceasefires, has led to the release of the hostages, has led to alleviating the suffering of the people over there. And unfortunately, there are like politicians who are trying to use this to score like short-term political gains to fuel their narratives in order to using Qatar to blame another country for what's happening over there or for their wrong policies.
Facts.
All our aid and all our support.
No, literally, like, bro, Qatar sits there innocently. Israel. Qatar is backing all of the Muslim countries and the terrorists that want to attack us. Is like, no, they don't. They're literally sitting there chilling, wondering why they're being made enemies of the United States and Israel when they've literally sat there and did nothing to them, but everything that they asked. I mean, can you imagine being framed for, they're the ones that are supporting Hamas when, you're actually the ones who sent the money to them to support Hamas? Well, that's what Bibi Netanyahu did. Sit there, get mad at Qatar for what? Funding Hamas when he sent money to Qatar to fund Hamas.
Financing that went, and what they claimed that it went to Hamas, went to Gaza, went to the people, and it was under very transparent process that the United States is fully aware about. Israel is the one who's facilitating, and it's not one government, it was across governments. Netanyahu, Bennett, we have dealt with all the agencies. Lapid was a prime minister at a certain point of time, Mossad, Shimbet, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all of and the defense, all of them, they were involved in these aids and the delivery of those aids. So today, when they are claiming that this is the financing of Qatar to Hamas, it has no basis. It's just a way to spread disinformation about a country that doesn't do anything for them, but it's doing things that are against their policies.
Oh no, it does do something. Remember, the operation is to frame all Muslims as jihadist terrorists that wants to take over the world. That's literally the propaganda that's being spread around. And if they got to make sure they're thorough with it. They got to make sure that we are fearful of every Muslim in the world, and they want to make us think that all these Muslims just want to dominate and take us over, I ain't gonna lie, like it's the early AD, like we're in 1-2 AD or something.
If you just go to Qatar records with in its engagement with the United States for the last 20 years or 30 years, Qatar has never went to United States and encouraging them to bomb this country or to support this group or to that group. We've been always in our
look. Qatar has never literally used their money for influential reasons. To be quite honest with you, because I mean, real with you can actually look it up on the FARA Act. They are under the FARA Act, unlike AIPAC, but yes, they are under FARA. So any type of like investment they do to put out any political message would be reported. Sadly, that hasn't been done. But you know what Qatar is guilty of? High investments. I mean, they damn near, like a lot of people say that Qatar owns England or owns London due to all the real estate that they buy. And if you don't think Qatar is also buying things over here like companies, stocks and companies, real estate and all that good stuff, then you're tripping. But I mean, other countries do it as well, and they're not doing it to, well, in my opinion, what I've been looking into, they're not really doing it to try to take us over like China is, or to spy on us like Israel and China does.
With the United States about how we de-escalate the region, how we bring peace to the region, and this peace cannot happen without an engagement with everyone in the region.
Well, I'm confused then. If you hosted Hamas here and sent money to Gaza, both of those things at the request of the U.S. government and the Israeli government, successive Israeli governments, why did Israel bomb your country?
Bro, which is wild. Because it's like Israel literally bombed Qatar for holding peace negotiations. They will sit there and say, oh, they're harboring terrorists, but that's what we asked Qatar to do since the beginning of this conflict. Is you guys are going to hold the Hamas leadership so we can go ahead and talk to these guys and work something out. That's something that they been did for a while now. It's provided asylum to the Hamas leadership. The hell? Oh, anyway, though, to bomb them over that is absolutely ridiculous. Who the hell is playing Hispanic music? I'm sorry, the music completely distracted me. Hopefully, you guys don't hear it.
Well, it's I don't know if there is. I don't know if any of the actions that's been or many of the actions that's been taken been justified or rationalized or even were ethical actions. But in a principle, even you have a mediator. The concept of mediation is like a safe place for the conflicted parties to achieve a deal, to end wars and to end conflicts, and to have the mediator being bombed by one of the parties of the conflict. This has been unprecedented, and I have said that many times, that this is, it's not only an unethical move.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, basically Israel bombed these guys for holding peace negotiations. And they frame it as harboring terrorists, but I mean, that's what we asked them to do, Israel included. I mean, Israel would be the first person to say, Qatar funds Hamas. Yeah, you guys gave him money to do so. So what the fuck?
It's just, throwing everything against the wall, throwing the international law, throwing the respect of the sovereignty of any other country. Besides, ethically, it's not really acceptable, or no one can swallow it.
No, and the aftermath was also unprecedented. So President Trump basically told the Israelis to apologize to you. He took your side.
Mm-hmm.
He took the side of an Arab country against Israel in this specific case.
Because it was wrong. Because as we were trying to negotiate peace terms with a peace negotiation with Hamas, Israel turns around and tries to bomb the negotiation team. and it's not in Gaza. They did this in a ally country of ours that has a military base that's protected by an air defense system that's ours. It made us look incompetent, and it's our own ally, our greatest ally, Israel, doing this to us.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think it's ever happened before. What was your reaction to that?
Well, of course, President Trump has.
I mean, bro, they're trying to call Islam the violent religion, but I mean, hey, I mean, we're the ones attacking them, except for October 7th, of course. Let's not forget that.
Was very clear from the beginning since the attack. Actually, when he was informed about the attack, he assigned one of his advisors to reach out to us, and at the same time, he called His Highness after the attack, and he expressed his frustration, his disappointment from such a thing that's happening by Israel, because he knows everything about the process and he knows how helpful we were throughout this process. And you know, this kind of move was shocking for him as you know, a partner in these efforts, in these endeavors to achieve peace.
Yeah, I was shocked too. I was really shocked. I was like, hold on. Israel bombed Doha? Why? Oh, because they're harboring terrorists. I'm like, but that's their negotiation team, and we're in current peace talks right now, and they're trying to kill the guys who are trying to bring peace. What? And then when it failed, because yes, it did fail, they actually end up killing one of the Qatar's policemen. It just looked bad all around. That's why Trump pulled out that phone and said, you're going to call this guy and you're going to tell him that you're sorry. You're going to apologize personally. All right. All right, then. And I mean, shout out Trump, because he definitely did make Bibi do that. I mean, respect. That's how you got to respect him for that one. Even if you hate Trump, you definitely got to respect him for making Bibi apologize.
In Gaza. And at that time, actually, when the strike happened, it was happening while we were trying to convince Hamas to accept the offer was made by President Trump at that time, to convince them to engage, to convince them to get a deal before the 20 points being developed when the attack happened.
So you're saying that President Trump was surprised by the bombing of Doha by the Israelis. Of course, it was his peace process that was short-circuited by their bombing using American money. You're saying that the president didn't know that was going to happen. He was surprised.
He called us right away. His advisors who reached out to us, they reached out to us just a couple of minutes before the attack, which was like the attack was already happening. So it was very clear demonstration with all the actions that this is something happened against his will, and he doesn't accept it. And he made it very clear for everyone that this is like a red line that he doesn't want anyone to cross it, and we highly value that and appreciate it.
And I'm just pressing you on this because there were news accounts in the subsequent days, the next day, the day after, in Israel saying, no, the Israeli government did this, the prime minister did this, with the agreement of Donald Trump. This was part of Donald Trump's plan, was to bomb Doha, bomb his own peace negotiations. And you're saying that's not true.
Well, I think this is one of many efforts to sabotage the relationship between Qatar and the United States, and they want us to believe that. And I think that
thank God they didn't believe it, because I mean, if they just believe Israel outright, then yeah, the Qatars would just be like, all right, F y'all, we're not dealing with you guys no more. But instead, they actually hit up Trump and was like, yo, what's up with this? Israel just hit us and we're not really understanding why. And Trump's acting surprised. And then Qatar is also telling them that, oh, yeah, and Israel also said that you backed them up on this. So Trump's even acting more surprised. And I can see why Trump made Bibi call that man in public, in the middle of in the front of the world, because you pretty much sat there, lied to the world about me wanting you to bomb Doha. And now I got to sit here and make you look stupid. And once again, shout out for Trump for doing so, because bombing Qatar, there was really no justification for it, but just trying to keep the war going in Gaza.
You know, these efforts are not new to us. We have seen a lot of efforts ongoing for years now on based on disinformation and spreading lies and false information about Qatar in order to hurt the relationship between Qatar and the United States, which we see it from our perspective is mutually beneficial for both countries, because we advocate for something different than what our adversaries advocate. Our adversaries advocating for escalation, for bombing, for controlling, but we advocate for resolving conflict in diplomatic way, trying to stabilize the region, and that has been Qatar policy since inception.
So you said that your country has sent money to Gaza for humanitarian reasons. That's your position. Basically paying to help the people who are being bombed by Israel. Now there's the question of who rebuilds Gaza, which has, of course, been completely destroyed, and who pays for it. And I wonder, well, I don't wonder, I just imagine with total certainty that you will be asked to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza.
Yep.
Why would you do that? Why would you rebuild a region that's been destroyed by a country that also bombed you?
Well, look, Tucker, here, there is like a very, say, like an ironic situation when you look at like two conflicts happening at the same time, and you are hearing like many about when it comes to the Russia-Ukrainian conflict, that Russia should fund all the reconstruction and their assets should be seized to fund all the reconstruction of Ukraine. While when you are talking about Gaza and Israel, flattened this land, and you say that Israel has the responsibility to rebuild what it's destroyed, they will tell you no. You will have, as a region, you will have the responsibility to do so. And it's really a very ironic double standards when you look at it. From our side, as a state of Qatar, we will continue supporting the Palestinian people. We will do whatever to alleviate their suffering, but we are not the ones who are going to write the check to rebuild what others destroyed. That's basically our position. But also, we will not let the Palestinian people at dry if they are not helped or they are not funded.
I should say, from an American perspective, it's even more grotesque. So you are asked to pay for the destruction and for the rebuilding,
which is wild. I know. I was like, bro, but Lord knows if we ask Israel to do it, it's going to be anti-Semitic. So it is what it is.
This is like, it's a little much. So, but you're saying clearly that your country will not pay to rebuild what Israel destroyed.
That's our position. Our position is that our payments will go only to help the Palestinian people if we see that the help is coming to them is insufficient. That's basically our position.
What happens to the current residents of Gaza? Do they stay in Gaza? I know there's an effort to find some other country to send them to, either in Asia or Sudan or Milwaukee. But do they stay in Gaza?
Well, I think that, when it's hurting us when we hear people talking about the people of Gaza as like, some sort of different people, because like they have the right to have the choice where to live. And they don't want to, to leave their country. And we have seen these demonstrations like in many occasions when we see the opening between the south and the north of Gaza. We see the mass return of the people to their homes, even if their homes is flattened and gone. They just go there and build a tent. And this is just showing you how solid are those people, how resilient are those people, how those people, they don't want to leave the land that they belong to. And I don't see anyone has the right to deport them or to force them.
No, it's too late. I mean, Israel's already sending some of these Gazans on planes to South Africa with no information, no nothing, just sending them there to South Africa with the good luck, like the thumbs up and a good luck.
Them to go somewhere else. It's their country, it's their home, and they have all the right to stay there and to live there.
Yeah, the idea of moving millions of people by force into another country, has been discredited, I would say, historically. Big picture, this is a question that remains unanswered in the United States. Like, what is the plan here exactly in the Levant? but what is Israel's plan? What is the strategy? I understand it's defeating Hamas and Hezbollah, and I understand the short-term goals that are often articulated, but what does this look like in 10 years? What is the object? Do you have any idea?
Well, I think if we look at the situation currently, I have mentioned that yesterday. The situation currently is not is not something that can survive for long and being stable. Now, the issue that if the Israeli forces remains there, if the violations remains happening in Gaza, this conflict can escalate again. And
I mean, yeah, because if Israel keeps taking land in the West Bank, I mean, it's just going to have another repeat of October 7th, except it's going to come out the West Bank this time. And then they're also going to say, oh, well, now it's the PLO, the Palestinian Leadership Authority. That's the problem, not just Hamas, even though you guys have completely tried to annex the West Bank. Or actually, you're still annexing the West Bank. So it is crazy. It's actually crazy what's going on over there in Israel as they're sitting there creating more problems, well, for themselves.
What all of us we want to avoid. The best plan is to apply what's been already agreed on in the plan that President Trump has launched and the countries in the region has supported, to rebuild Gaza for the Gazans people to remain there, but also finding a political solution for the bigger issue, because if you keep this issue unresolved, the Palestinian issue unresolved, things will escalate again and again. We cannot build a house without building the foundation of that house. And the foundation of that house, that the Palestinian people get their rights for their states, and they have the right to stay in their own land.
From an outside perspective, it seems like the prospect of full rights internally or a separate and autonomous Palestinian state, those seem like more remote than ever. That seems less likely than ever to happen, but maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Well, unfortunately, peace needs, a partner also for that. With the current configuration in Israel and what we are seeing in the political landscape there in the Knesset and all those resolutions that they are passing against the two-state solution is just, setting us apart from this path, which is unfortunate to see that there is no enforcement to push them that this is the only path forward to have a two-state solution. We cannot, remain hostage to the far right and the extremist agenda to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian or to kick them out of their lands. And what we are looking for two countries, two people living side by side peacefully and being part of the region.
All right.
And that's
all right, guys. I guess we'll end off on this video right here. So we'll take a little break from our guys over there in Doha. Let's see. Let's go ahead on Face the Nation with Ilhan Omar. Yes, this interview was pretty much going viral on X. So let's see what happened.
And we're joined now by Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Margaret.
We have a lot to get to with you, but I want to pick up on where the Treasury Secretary just left off. He alleged that people who were tied to you or your campaign were involved in this broad, brazen scheme to rip off the Minnesota state welfare system. Do you want to respond?
Which is a reasonable accusation, because let's be real, though. I mean, like I said, out of the 86 people who were caught up in that fraud case, 78 were of Somali descent.
Onto that, do you know what he is referring to?
I really don't, and I don't think the secretary himself understands what he's referring to. We obviously had people who were able to donate to our campaign that were involved. We sent that money back a couple years ago. And actually, I was one of the first members of Congress to send a letter to the Secretary of Eg asking them to look into what I thought was a reprehensible fraud that was occurring within the program.
Really?
So this was, just for our audience, the Biden-era Justice Department called it the largest COVID fraud scheme in the country. And this was
Then why weren't you the one breaking it?
pocketing COVID-era welfare funds, more than $1 billion in taxpayer money that was stolen. It was pretty shocking. Of the 87 people charged, all but 8 are of Somali descent. And that has added to the spotlight being put specifically on your community. Why do you think this fraud was allowed to get so widespread?
Well, I want to say, this also has an impact on Somalis because we are also taxpayers.
Whoa, lady, you can't play victim on this one. Well, tell us, why was there so much Somalis in that fraud case? What's your thoughts on that? Don't try to just spin it on trying to make Somalians the victims here. I mean, I'll be real with you. Right now, majority of the perpetrators in this fraud case are Somalians. So I'm sorry, but you can't pull the victim card right now. But she will.
On Somalis because we are also taxpayers in Minnesota. We also could have benefited from the program and the money that was stolen. And so it's been really...
I mean, well, according to the numbers, about of the 86, 78 were Somalis. So yes, majority of Somalians, majority of the guys who since they were Somalian, like, I'm sorry, but yeah, you guys benefited off that. The $250 million tax scam or feed the children scam. Yeah, mainly Somalians were eating off that. So you kind of got to answer for that. There is a reasonable suspicion, or there is I would say a reasonable evidence to sit there and call you guys out for this. Yeah, when you sit there and be majority of the fraud in this case, we're kind of looking at the whole community like, well, is the whole entire community with this? Like, what are the ties of these 78 Somalians in y'all community? Are they heavily involved in your guys' community? And they gotta be, because let's be real, they was running this organization to feed the kids. And I'm not saying that they didn't give out any meals, but let's be real, they didn't give out that many to report how much they didn't give out that many meals to get the amount of funding that they got, or government grants or whatever.
Frustrating for people to not acknowledge the fact that we're also as Minnesotans, as taxpayers, really upset and angry about the fraud that has occurred.
Mm-hmm. So do you think, though, that there was a failure by the Democratic state government?
No, it was funny when she said, the Somalian people could have used that money. I'm like, you did. Like, yes, majority of the people in that fraud case were Somalian. So you guys did enjoy some of that money. Yes, you did. I mean, I wish it could have went out to other communities as well. But hey, to sit there and say, well, Somalians could have enjoyed some of that money as well. Y'all enjoyed it more than us.
So do you think, though, that there was a failure by the Democratic state government to police itself? This is a brazen, fraudulent activity here.
Yeah, and that is what I alluded to in my letter that I'd sent to the Secretary of Eg, was to see where things were going wrong. How can this amount of money disappear fraudulently without there being alarms being set off? And it is something that, we have to continue to investigate. We have to continue to ask those questions.
Because, as you know, one of the initial defenses by the organization at the heart of the fraud, Feeding Our Future, was to claim the probe was due to racism. Do you think that this was all about negligence, or that it was like political fear of alienating the Somali community?
So you have to remember that the woman who led the program is a Caucasian woman. And that was her way.
I know, we get it, that it was a Caucasian woman that was using the Somali community to, steal tax dollars. I mean, or to get extra funding. We get that. Problem is, y'all went along with it and y'all like to act so high and mighty. You said, like, here you go, trying to scapegoat on white people, but your people were heavily involved helping this white lady. I mean, you demonize the white man so much, but here your people is working hand in hand with them to do a crime. I mean, come on now, let's just talk. Let's be real. Let's talk about it. That is a bit sus. You hold your people all the way up here, and you hold white people all the way down here, but here your people is lowering themselves to what? Crime, to do white crimes with the white man? Well, not really the white man, but the white liberal woman. It's hilarious to actually point that out. It actually is hilarious.
Of making sure that this would continue to happen by using whatever rhetoric that was available to her. We do know that when the money was stopped, they did sue. The AG, Attorney General Keith Ellison, defended the department in that lawsuit. It was a judge that said it should continue, that money should continue to go out. And so this wasn't something that people were not looking at. There was
But you weren't fighting for it though. So you brought it to the attention. You knew there were some things going on, and you just watched your Democratic homies keep the fraud going. And then you just turned the other way and just walked off into the sunset? Like, does that really sound like somebody that's a real leader that should be in a leadership position? You brought up a problem, you brought it to your higher ups. They pretty much looked you in your face and just kept things going, and you didn't come to the American people. You didn't want to fight against the fraudulency that was going on, like for the American people that voted you in. I mean, isn't that your job? But okay, I see how it is.
Always those alarms, and we will continue to understand where things might have gone wrong as these investigations continue and as these fraudsters are prosecuted.
Lady, I'm be real with you. You kind of just said you kind of seen where things were going wrong. You reported it. You seen that they upheld it, and you just turned away because you didn't want to go against your own party. If that was me and I was in Omar's shoes, I'd have spoke out against my party. I'd have been like, I ain't gonna lie, the Republicans got a point. We are trying to give benefits to immigrants. The Republicans got a point. We are trying to we are trying to run fraud on the system for taxpayer for extra funding. I mean, and she'd have been a real one for it. Actually, she'd have probably went up in her political stock. And if not as a Democrat, at least as a centrist or whatever. So I'm gonna be honest, she could have chose a more honorable route. She could have definitely just turned around on the Dems who were letting the fraud continue that she claimed she brought up. But no, she didn't want to come down on her own party. She just turned the other way.
And sent to jail.
Well, it's going to have impact for your community because we've already heard that the head of Medicare and Medicaid say they're going to have a new policy that applies to Minnesota. You heard the Treasury Secretary say they're investigating. But there's another thread here because House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism, a possible link. He said they're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because there are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out. And
FBI and y'all court system, and well, you as well. Like, you know, seeing that you guys also do have a say in how money is handled and how these well, I would say these organizations and all that good stuff are handled. Be real with you, you guys handle the appropriation of funds altogether. I mean, and it is in your country. I'm not your country, but it is in your state, within your district, your city. It's kind of crazy how you're just trying to pass it off on the FBI because what is Trump's FBI trying to pass it off on the courts for whatever reason? I'm not sure, but let's be real. This happened under your nose, under your leadership, and you spoke out about it, as you said, and you kind of turned the other cheek once you seen that the Dems wanted to keep it going. Not the other cheek, but you pretty much turned away from it once you see that the Dems weren't willing to stop it. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you guys. This is what I say when the Dems don't hold themselves accountable. Their base does not hold them accountable. And I'm pretty sure the base will sit there, let Omar say this bullshit in front of them and defend her.
Basically, charging them with these charges. And so I do know that for many years, this sort of like alarm that there is money being transferred through the airport in bags and going to terrorism that accusation has always existed. There's never been here and there in those accusations. But if that is the case, if money from US tax dollars is being sent to help with terrorism in Somalia, we want to know.
Yeah.
And we want those people prosecuted. And we want to make
I mean, are you sure you wanted to know? Because it's been going on for a while now. and you kind of turned a blind eye to it. I mean, if you really wanted to know, Miss Omar, you'd have looked into this a while ago instead of it blowing up in your face. If you really was that curious about it. Usually, if you really want to know something, you don't wait until it blows up in your face. You kind of take the proactive approach to it.
Sure that that doesn't ever happen again.
So there are 80,000 people of Somali descent in your state, but the president has been very focused not just on them, but on you. In this extraordinary cabinet meeting, he said Somalis, quote, come from hell. They complain and they do nothing but bitch. Take a listen.
These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much.
That knocking is vehement agreement from his cabinet members there. I just wonder what the reaction is in your district to have that from the highest office in the land.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And as much as I don't really agree with Trump throwing the entire Somali community under a bus, I honestly agree with where he was kind of going with that. It's like, dog, every American, even guys like me who's not going to throw the entire Somali community under the bus, is sick and tired of certain people in your community that sit there and complain about the best country in the world for them. I mean, Lord knows if they go back to Somalia, they're going to be in a three-way war and die. Lord knows if you girls go back to Somalia, the Somalian women, I'm talking to you women, that if you go back to Somalia, you will lose your freedom of speech. You will lose women's rights. You know that, right? You actually lose rights leaving this country. So when women like her sit there and complain about America, I literally look at her like, you know, you have no right saying this. None at all, because you go back to your country and you, one, wouldn't be in any leadership position. Lord knows that. Two, you wouldn't have all the rights you do. And three, would you be dressed the way you are now? I mean, you probably have the headscarf on, but you probably wouldn't be dressed up with the shirt now. I mean, let's keep it 100. You have a lot of freedom here that's not allowed in your own country. And you should pay some respect for the American people for that one. I'm just saying, show some respect. That's all we're asking. Like I said, we're not asking for you to kiss our ass. We're just asking you to respect the country that allow you all this freedom. And that honestly, that took you out of a war-torn country. Is that too much to ask for? Just some respect?
It's completely disgusting. These are Americans that he is calling garbage. And we feel like there is an unhealthy obsession that he has on the Somali community, and an unhealthy and creepy obsession that he has with me. I think it is also really...
I mean, well, let's be real. When you sit there and you talk all this shit about Americans and calling us stupid and all that good stuff, and being the, well, I suppose hardcore patriot that Trump is, yeah, he's not going to like that. I don't like it. And I consider myself a patriot as well. Anybody who sits there and talk down on my people, the American people, don't care what color they are, you talk down on my people, you try to demonize my people, I'm not going to like that at all. And that's what you've done. And I don't like the fact that Trump has turned around and like reciprocated that, but I can see where they got. I can see where he's coming to that level. I see how he got there. I'm not there myself, nor I ever see myself reaching that level. But when you get that disrespectful, when you have members of your community that's openly disrespectful towards us, then yeah, that's going to be a problem. We're going to look at you and be like, okay, yeah, leave them. We don't want you here. Actually, I mean, like, we're helping you guys out more than you're helping us. So really, y'all might want to start showing some respect. You don't got to kiss our ass. You don't got to throw away pride for your country, but you do got to sit here and admit that America is at least a better country to live in than yours. I mean, you can sit there and be proud of the heritage of your country and where your people came from, but let's not forget, though, you will not live in your country in modern day. All right, then.
Important for us to remember that this kind of hateful rhetoric and this level of dehumanizing can lead to dangerous actions by people who listen to the president.
And 95% of the Somalis.
Look, Somalians, if you're listening to me and you're worried about MAGA, bro, it's too late. It's too late. Some of your friends are already MAGA and you don't even know. It's too late. Trust me, we ain't got really no beef with you guys. We just don't like the fact that, like I said, a lot of y'all complain and cry in a country that gives you the most opportunity that your country couldn't even dream of giving you, especially if you're a woman. So I really don't want to hear it if you're a Somalian woman. If you're a woman out of a Middle Eastern country talking about, oh, it's tough here in America. Oh, they don't really respect women here in America. But I need you to shut the fuck up, to be quite honest with you. I ain't gonna sit here and say that all Muslim countries treat their women like shit. But let's be real though. Somalia is on that list.
In your state are U.S. citizens.
Yes.
Just for clarity there. But the president has restricted all immigration processing, including asylum claims from Somalis already on U.S. soil, along with 18 other countries. ICE reports it has rounded up about 19 people, and they put out press releases with the images of about 5 of them that they say are the worst of the worst. Is that the entirety of the crackdown to date?
Yeah, so far we know of the people that they've picked up in Minnesota. About 5 of them are Somalis. And from what I have read and from the people that I've spoken to, all of them had already had orders of removal. So these are not people who are undocumented, but people who have committed crimes and who should have already been sent out of the country.
Yeah, why didn't you help do that? Why you gotta wait for the Trump to come here and take people out of your community that's committed crimes? Do you see where you got us fucked up at? Do you see where you got us kind of fucked up? Like, you can see by her body language, she knows she fucked up saying that. Why does Trump have to come in and hold your community accountable? Why did he have to come in there and do that? Why couldn't you guys understand that, yeah, he committed a crime. Let's make sure this guy gets the hell up out of here. Let's not wait for Trump to do it. I mean, because when you wait for Trump to do it, it kind of makes y'all look bad. It makes you look complicit. Like, bruh.
I want to ask you about something else that the architect of the president's immigration policy, Stephen Miller, said. On Thanksgiving Day, he posted, "No magic transformation occurs when failed states cross borders. At scale, migrants and their descendants recreate the conditions and terrors of their broken homelands." What do you make of this argument of failure to assimilate and sort of ruining America? How do you understand this?
I mean, when I think about Stephen Miller and his white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me.
Lady, you're literally married to a white guy right now. Shut the F up. I hate all these guys who are literally married to white people, but then talk the most shit about white people. Like Don Lemon. Don Lemon is literally a bottom for a white man, but he talks the most shit about white people. Like Ilhan Omar is literally married to a white man, not a Somali person, but a white man, and she talks the most shit about white people. Can y'all shut the fuck up about white people while sleeping next to them, please? Like you look very stupid. I'm just saying, like, isn't that kind of dumb?
Yes, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany. You know, as we know, there have been many immigrants who've tried to come to the United States who've turned back.
Hold on. The way the Nazis describe Jewish people is way different. Now, the Jewish people own too much. That was the problem that was the perceived problem that Hitler brought up, you know, the owning of the banks and major industries. The problem is y'all don't own shit, but y'all talking like y'all do. There's a big difference, huge difference, actually, huge. Got to put some respect on them Jewish guys' name back in the day. They was owning stuff. You guys are not. They own so much, it became a problem. You guys don't own so much. You guys don't own nothing. It's becoming a problem because you're talking like you do. All right. I hope you know the difference by now.
You know, one of them being Jewish immigrants. We know the way that people were described who were coming from Ireland, Irish immigrants. We know the way in which people were described back then when they were Italian immigrants. And to me, you know, we're yes, of course, ethnically Somali. We are in this country as Americans.
Yeah.
We are citizens. We are productive part of this nation, and we will continue to be.
And I mean, shoot, yeah, the ones that love this country, we love y'all. Great. Keep them over here. I have no problem with Somalian people. I have a problem with the Somalian people that act like you. Yes, you, Ilhan Omar, to talk ish about this country, but won't go back and, you know, liberate your own or try to establish women's rights in your own or try to end a 3-way war in your own country. But you want to talk shit about here. I mean, you want to talk shit about white people, but you're married to a white man. I mean, how does this work? Like, how did anybody listen to you and take you seriously is beyond me, but it is what it is. I mean, It is what it is. And I don't know, somebody says, oh, Seth, don't you know they're coming for you next? And all I have to say is this.
ICE is in Chicago. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know what to tell you. I was thinking about Panera for lunch. Did you not hear what I said? I said ICE is in Chicago. They're doing raid. Yeah, I did. I think I'm going to go with the half turkey sandwich and the tomato soup combo. That sounds really good. How can you be so indifferent right now? Fam, you do realize that they done took over whole apartment buildings and they've been trying to get these people out for a while, and the mayor and the police ain't doing nothing. What do you think they're supposed to do? But they're discriminating against everybody trying to find illegal. They can't just discriminate against you based on your skin tone. Yeah, it's crazy, right? If they can do this to Hispanics, what makes you think they're not gonna do it for the African Americans, for the black? What did you just call me? What? Now it's offensive for me to call you black? No, it's what you said before that. What did you say I am? Oh, you want me to be politically correct African American? And what's the second word in African American? Oh, they can deport you too. To where? No, for real. Tell me where they're gonna deport.
No, really though, where are y'all gonna deport me? What you gonna do? Send me back to my state that I was born in? Or you gonna give me a free trip to Tennessee? To Nashville, Tennessee? That's what y'all gonna do. That's what I'm gonna get deported to? Like please, or do I need to remind you that I was born here in America, in Nashville, Tennessee? So yes, if you're going to deport me back from where I came from the soil that I was born on, well, I guess I got to take like a 5 to 6 hour drive. Or, I mean, unless you just want to buy me like a 2-hour flight, that'd be great too. I wouldn't mind it. All right. I mean, Nashville, Tennessee is a nice place. I'll take it. But please enjoy just a little bit more comedy with my man, Dave Chappelle.
What about people who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil?
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil, bitch? You cooking?
Mr. President, when do you think they'll hold general elections in Iraq?
Damn, I knew I shouldn't have called on this nigga. I shouldn't have called on you because you're always trying to distract motherfuckers with things like the war and skirt all the real issues. All right? But if I can be real about it, be real, son. Real? Be real, son.
Tried to kill my father, man.
What?
You play that.
Say word, he tried to kill your father, son. That nigga tried to kill my father! This nigga very possibly has weapons of mass destruction. I can't sleep on that. Not on my watch. That's not how I roll. That is serious. Now, if you don't want to take my word for it, why don't you ask Tony Blair? He got a whole nother set of intelligence. What's up, Tony?
We don't know much about the South. And we can't trust random niggas with things like that.
And of course, to close out, I got one more clip for you.
A $250 million fraud scheme. Already 77 people, many of them Somali immigrants, have been charged in one of the largest taxpayer-funded scams in U.S. history. Minnesota, home to the largest Somali community in America, has become the center of this massive investigation. This is the Feeding Our Future scandal, a pandemic-era scheme in which defendants allegedly stole over $250 million meant to provide meals for low-income children. Instead of feeding kids, prosecutors say the money went toward luxury homes, high-end cars, jewelry, overseas transfers, and an entire network of shell companies. According to the DOJ, the conspirators submitted fake invoices, fabricated meal counts, and even staged photos to make it look like they were serving millions of meals that never existed. In some cases, they claimed to feed more children than lived in entire neighborhoods. A federal jury found Amy Bach, the founder of Feeding Our Future, and Salim Ahmed Saeed guilty of conspiracy, bribery, wire fraud, money laundering. Federal officials say more arrests may still be coming.
And all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and end it on that one, guys. Hey guys, don't forget to double tap that screen, like the video, and let's make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow, guys, and I appreciate the support. This is Set with Set Media, and I'm gonna leave you with some profound sayings. All right, guys, appreciate the support. Peace.
Fyodor Dostoevsky, the master of human contradiction, once said, "Nothing is easier than to denounce the evildoer. Nothing is more difficult than to understand him." He didn't write to glorify pain or justify cruelty. He wrote to remind us that every monster was once a child who wanted to be loved. That behind every sin there is a reason we no longer try to see. He believed the soul is not divided between good and evil, but torn between what it hides and what it dares to confess. We judge easily, Because understanding requires us to look inside ourselves, to see the same chaos, the same fear, the same fragile longing for meaning. Dostoevsky understood that morality is not purity. It's the courage to confront our own darkness without pretending we're untouched by it. And maybe that's why his words still echo today, because we are all, in some way, trying to forgive the parts of ourselves we once condemned in others.